A+ rated by the BBB, and have nearly 2,500 five-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Hello? I'm a Marine. It took me a long time to make this call.
If you or a veteran in your life is experiencing thoughts of suicide, dial 988, then press 1 to reach the Veterans Crisis Line.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Bundle Deal Days at AutoZone.
Well, I do need a bundle of things.
When you bundle, you save.
Do I save if I bundle oil with an oil filter?
Save up to $12 on that bundle.
What about brake pads and rotors?
Bundle those and the brake pads are free.
Can't save more than free.
You can save on hundreds of deals during Bundle Deal Days. Ends June 2nd at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Duralast brake pads only.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Big truck accidents can cause life-changing injuries, and life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money. I know big truck wrecks, and I know how to fight those big insurance companies. If you've been hurt by a big truck, contact us at ritchielaw.com. I'm on top of it.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. Cloudy skies this afternoon and evening. Some showers and thunderstorms developing late today and tonight. We do have a level 1 risk, meaning some wind damage is possible. 83 for the high temperature. Mid-60s overnight tonight, and an even better chance for strong to severe thunderstorms tomorrow. Even an isolated tornado chance. 81 for the high.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 3 o'clock check-in for money. Dow Jones up 39 points to 42,137.
Here comes Aho on a break. Shoots, he scores! It's dropped back here for Aho. He scores! He shot through and they'll score. On the power play, Tkachuk. Chance for the Panthers. Bennett out in front, they'll score! Marchand throws it out in front, and Lundell will score. Bounce it, now it comes out in front. Holding, shoot, he scores! Seth Jarvis with the turnover! We'll skate it behind the net. Watched by Orlov. Barkov out in front for Hagee. Shoots and scores!
The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I hoped we'd be meeting under different circumstances today. I hope Dennis would be playing the pump-up song. We'd be talking about going back down to Florida. I hoped, and darn near at times last night, I expected that the Canes would extend their season by at least one more game, but alas, it has not happened. Yeah. You know it's serious when I work the word alas into the show this quickly. I'm Tim Donnelly, Dennis Cox producing the show. This might be the exact opposite of the pump-up song. This is a mourning. This is grief-stricken. This is months, if not years, of hard work. Not just coming to a close, but being within our grasp. Ahead 2-0. Sebastian Aho with a look in his eye that we haven't seen often. One might say killer instinct. Cut the music. Because Kotkaniemi with the penalty goes to the box and everything from that point forward. There's a Jarvis goal. That was fun. There was a few things that were okay, but goodness gracious, you ever seen a game turn on a dime? We will be opening up the phone lines for your Hurricane Soundoffs on a Thursday. So about 3:30, as we so often do, we will open up the phone lines. Have your takes ready on last night's game, on the series against Florida, and obviously the season as a whole for the Canes. Gosh, that was a frustrating one. It was a frustrating one because so much of what we asked the Canes, I'm talking about the game last night, so much of what we asked the Canes to do, they did. Start fast, They did. 2-0 lead at the end of the first period. We needed Aho to step up and take the shot. He did. Scored 2 of them things right out the gate. Needed top guys to play like top guys, and Aho and Slavin and Jarvis scores, and they did. We wanted them to match the fire of the Florida Panthers, and for maybe the first time and only time in the series, after the whistle, there was as much face mushing and headlocks and noogies being applied to the Panthers as to the Canes. They did so much of what we asked and still came up short. For those of you that after games probably 2 and 3 started sounding the board of, it's not that they lost, it's how they lost. It's completely okay to acknowledge that the Panthers have talent and experience, and they're an older group, and they're probably a little bit more deep, and they don't have as many holes in the roster, but it can't be 5-0. You can't give up 6. Well, if all you wanted was to be respectable in a loss, you got that, right? It was a reasonable loss. Still a loss, right? No moral victories, but it was a reasonable loss. You played well in a lot of ways, made a few dumb mistakes, and it cost you. If you're looking for the real issue of last night, it's that you can't spot Florida a 3-0 lead, meaning 3-0 in the series. Because then you have a game like last night where a couple breaks don't go your way, you're not able to overcome a few mistakes, and you lose, and it ends up being the final nail in the coffin when I believe the Canes started playing Canes hockey in Game 4, right? It should be, we couldn't overcome a couple of dumb mistakes, so now it's 1-1, right? If that's when the series started, but you spotted them 3 games. And that's what you're going to hear from Sebastian Aho right here in the postgame, talking about falling behind early and how it's just hard to come back from.
Honestly, I think Game 1 wasn't that bad. I mean, the score was bad. I thought we came out the way we wanted, like early and like whatever. But that's hockey. Like that's why it's 7-game series. Even if it doesn't go on your way one game, you need to bounce back better than Game 2. I think that was the worst game of the series, and that obviously, I mean, you don't want to live with regrets. I think you'd like to see better bounce back and split the series there and go off to Florida, and obviously we were able to win one there, but then it's 2-2 instead of 3-1, right?
Gosh, if he doesn't sound exactly like darn near every athlete after a loss that left. By the way, he left it all out there.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're doing if we just do this, then it's 2-2 and it's not 3-1, and then this, and then, but you can't. And I didn't think Game 1 was that bad, but it was a loss. You're just stuck in that place until you get to go back out there on the ice. And it's going to be a long offseason for those guys. Going to be a lot of, as it has been the last 7 years, a lot of replaying the final 3-4 games. Whatever series knocked you out, you're going to replay those until you get a chance to get out there on the ice and wipe those memories a bit. If there is a silver lining, it's that the last 2 games happened. If you would have went into the offseason after Game 3, if it were a 5-game series, goodness gracious, would the anger build and bubble and boil. Felt like Dickie V there. It'd be a real 3B offseason, baby. It would bubble and boil, and it'd be a real bangarang. The good news is Games 4 and Games 5 happened. And let's look at last night's game. Last night's game, it's specifics, right? We're going to talk about them, right? It was the Kotkaniemi penalty. It was Nikishin being a rookie and being out of position on a goal allowed. It was like specifics, right? It was Orlov remaining a liability. It was, hey, Andrei Svechnikov with 2 minutes and 37 seconds left in the game, down 1 on a power play, and you get an unbelievable look from right in front, one of your spots, and you don't even put it on net.
In the dead slot.
Like that there's specifics, right? You go back and listen to us after Game 2. There weren't a lot of specifics we were complaining about. It wasn't, hey, that one play in the third period needs to be better. It was they got outplayed. They weren't ready to play. They showed up flat. They were getting pushed around. And that's those are the bad losses. Last night, not saying it's not a bad loss, but that's not the worst brand. Right? There are specifics there, and it's a little bit easier to tolerate. A little bit easier to fix, too. It's easier to fix, 10 plays than it is to fix mindsets. The long and the short of it is, I'm doing the Aho thing. The long and the short of it is, you got beat 4-1 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Every single part of that sentence I just said is important. Got beat 4-1 in the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm going to replay something I said and say it differently. You got beat, right? That part is important. You can't put any kind of a disguise on it. You got beat, and Florida did it. You got beat 4-1. The 4 is important, right? It was a dominant victory. It wasn't close. It wasn't a one game series. They won by a bunch. It's important to acknowledge that. The 1 is important because it's the first one you got in the Eastern Conference Finals in almost 20 years. And it's not easy, and it should be celebrated. And the last part is important. You got beat 4-1 in the Eastern Conference Finals. You made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's important as well. As far as expectations go, if we would have truth serumed everyone at the beginning of the season, I don't think Eastern Conference Finals was the threshold at the beginning of the season. About 20 games in, we might have been throwing Stanley Cup around because they were hot. After the Mikko trade, would have been dynasty because we were all really hyped up and overhyped. After the Mikko debacle, we probably would have been back to, hey, if you make the playoffs, it's a good year. And like that's how a season goes. But you made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. You don't like what happened once you got there, but you got there. There's a lot to get to here. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The Aho, the Orlov, and the Kotkaniemi.
I will say this about last night. We've talked about, hey, when your team needs it, are the top guys going to be there? And they were. Aho scoring twice. Seth Jarvis, massive game-tying goal.
Slavin doing Slavin things.
Yeah. Some of the top guys were there when you needed it yesterday. Gosh, Freddie made a couple dazzling saves.
That's the frustrating part is so much that we asked of them, they did. And they still came up short.
I mean, I know we'll dive more into this not only later today, but tomorrow and even in the next week about just, hey, guess what? Your roster got exposed. For at least the deficiencies of your roster got exposed during this series. Because even when you did play your best, you still lost a couple games.
And sometimes it does take that. Sometimes it does take going like, what's the saying? The Chrysler 300 looks like a Bentley till a Bentley pulls up. Like, you might have thought you had something with the Canes. Then the Florida Panthers showed up, and you went, okay, all right. I'm not saying we're the furthest team from being a cup contender, but there's some things that we got to do to get there. I'm not saying the Canes are a Chrysler 300 either. I'm not even saying a Chrysler 300 is a bad car. I'm just saying it's a saying. I don't even like saying that the Florida Panthers are a Bentley at this point, but they did make it to the Stanley Cup Finals for the third consecutive year, and they're the defending champ hunting for a back-to-back.
By the way, only 2 teams have come out of the East in the last 6 years. It was Tampa for 3 straight, and now it's Florida for 3 straight. That's it. That's it.
Part of me wants to go like, gosh darn it. The other part of me wants to go, hey, like that cold weather climates.
Yeah.
The South has got something to say. The Hurricanes are like, well, we were there with 3 of the last 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right.
Group ourselves in that whole South's got something to say. Shout out to Andre 3000. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That was the game last night. I think it's time, right, with the season over to ask this question. Was this season good enough for the Carolina Hurricanes? As disappointed as you might be in the Eastern Conference Finals, we're looking at it on the whole scale. Was this season good enough? We'll answer that coming up next.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
If a person is on a date, is it proper protocol that if one person gets their food first, they have to wait for the other person?
Yes.
I tend
because
to
if
agree.
you're on a date, you're trying to make a good impression. You don't want it to be that you're selfish and you're not considerate of the other person. Because that's what you're doing if you eat before their food gets there.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Westwood One Sport presents this special tennis update. It's only day 5 in Paris, and yet only 5 Americans remain in the men's singles, and 2 of them, Francis Tiafoe and Seb Korda, play each other tomorrow. But Ethan Quinn is moving on. The 21-year-old NCAA champion from Fresno pulled out a 5-set win over Alexander Shevchenko. Top seed Yannick Sinners won the last 2 slams, 3 of the last 5. He lost only 7 games in his second-round victory over 38-year-old Frenchman Richard Gasquet, who's now officially retired from tennis. This was his 22nd French Open. The 3 seed Sasha Zverev, a French Open finalist last year, won in 4 sets over Jesper de Jong of the Netherlands. Novak Djokovic took out France's Corentin Moutet straight sets. One upset, 9th-seeded Alex de Minaur blew a 2-set lead. The Aussie lost to Russia's Alexander Bublik. De Minaur blamed the loss on fatigue and the demanding ATP schedule. With this tennis update, I'm John Stashak, Westwood One Sports.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies the same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
Navy Federal Credit Union celebrates Military Appreciation Month in May. Whether you're active duty, a veteran, or a military family, we are all united this month to celebrate those who go above and beyond. As a credit union created for the military community, Navy Federal takes special care to ensure that our members feel celebrated and honored every day and every May. So from all of us at Navy Federal, happy Military Appreciation Month. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
Progressive knows when you're on your boat, you're already on vacation. And Vacation You forgets all your worries. Vacation You doesn't even keep track of time and knows that time is a meaningless construct designed to control us, man. But Regular You knows you don't want to be too far out in the water after the sun goes down because Vacation You doesn't know how to navigate in the dark yet. Vacation You and Regular You really need to get on the same page. So bundle your boat with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
NASCAR on Prime lights up Music City.
Here we go, Nashville. See what you got here.
Who's got what it takes to tackle the concrete at Nashville Super Speedway and walk away with NASCAR's coolest trophy?
Let's freaking go!
Stream the NASCAR Cup Series at Nashville Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, where music meets motorsports.
Chase me up, chase me up.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Only on Prime.
Now a turnover. Here comes Aho on a break. Shoots, he scores! Carolina strikes first. It's 1-0. And the Canes off to an incredibly hot start.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Boys to Men. The funny part is I am lip syncing right now to Boys to Men, and I know that on our YouTube live stream, which is where they can see me lip syncing, they can't hear the music. So they just think I'm getting emotional. So nobody is getting the full effect. You're either hearing the music or seeing the performance. Nobody's getting both. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. The Canes lost yesterday, season over. Was the season good enough? Was the season good enough this season? We do have a poll out on our YouTube live stream comments. For those of you that just had to watch me lip sync there, if you hadn't turned it off watching that painful, emotional performance, you can go there. You can vote. It's a grade question that we asked. Give the Canes a grade for the year: A, B, C, and then the last option is D/F. Vote there. We'll revisit it and see what you think. The first thing I want to do here, before I give you my answer, is make it so like you can answer both. One thing I get frustrated by are the weird gatekeepers that act like you can't be upset with a team because they were once bad. If you were a Canes diehard during the down years, right, between Rod the player and Rod the head coach, right, the down years where you were losing a lot, and because of that gatekeeping's the wrong word, but you try to be like a bouncer for people being upset. Like, if you're upset after making the Eastern Conference Finals, you weren't around in 2013. And if no, that's not how it works. Okay? There was a point in time where just making the playoffs for the Carolina Hurricanes, or just winning a series for the Carolina Hurricanes, felt like moving mountains. And you danced in the streets and you celebrated because it had been a long time. But then guess what happened? You did it again. And guess what happened? You did it again and again and again and again. And if you don't start expecting more, that doesn't make any sense. Right? If a golfer was a bad golfer and they were excited to break 100 for the first time, they shot a 99 and they took pictures and they sent it to their friends and they bought drinks for everyone. And then they became a better golfer, they don't have to celebrate every single time they hit 99. Right? And maybe now their goal is 79. Maybe it's better. Maybe they've worked their way into a 2 handicap, and if they go out there and shoot 94, they're allowed to be angry. The Canes are significantly better than they were as a program, as a franchise 6 years ago, 7 years ago when this whole run started. So you should celebrate different things. You should. Also, the opposite is true. Right? You can be mad. You can look at this team and say, at this point, this many years in, if you're not holding the cup, it's a loss. It's cup or bust every year. You can say that because this program has been that good and they've been knocking on the door. And if one win in the Eastern Conference Finals doesn't get your juices flowing, that's fine too. But what I think you have to do is just look at an individual year. Look at this year's roster with this year's situation and this year's challenges and ask yourself if this year's result was good enough. And when you look at all that, for me, I say yes. I say full context, everything, but looking at what's in front of us, I say it was a good enough year. Rod Brindamore, after the game yesterday, was asked about what this team accomplished after losing so many contributors and higher-priced guys last offseason.
Like, it's the craziest thing that we're this far, and it's all we're hearing is negativity from everybody. And it's when I walked this summer and with the pieces that were left this organization, I was like, I don't think we're making playoffs. I was that worried about it because it was such a mass exodus of good players to free agency. And then we were able to find good players to fill in, and then I was like, I don't know if they're that good, but they hung in there. So I got nothing but pride with this group. And, we didn't love how this kind of went this series, but again, that's the standard right there. You're not giving Florida enough credit.
I think Rod was short-selling himself there a little bit. I never, and we have the receipts, you can go check it out, you can go find on the archives. I never thought this wasn't a playoff roster. I won't sit here and say I thought it was a conference finals roster, but I thought it was third in the Metro, first round hard-fought exit, second round graceful exit, kind of that's the range. And they ended up making it to Eastern Conference Finals in dominant fashion on the way there. That's good. I think the Canes overachieved twice this year. Twice. I think right out the gate they overachieved. Remember when Martin Necas was on fire and he was on pace for, I think it was 700 points?
Yeah.
That little streak where they opened up and won a bunch?
And Jack Roslovic, the first 20 games of the year, was on pace for like 50 goals.
all the way to being a healthy scratch in the postseason.
Yep.
But the way they started was overachieving, and I think that got everybody's wheels cranking a little fast, and it made the Mikko trade make sense. They went from a team that I don't think any of us had super high aspirations for to, you know what, they might be Mikko Rantanen away from a cup. Then the Rantanen situation happened the way it did. You could call it a debacle. I wouldn't argue with you. And after that, expectations had dropped down a bunch, right? And it's okay. Now they're playing for the future. They traded the win now piece for the picks and the young player, and it's going to be a reset. Then they overachieved again and made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's 2 separate overachieves in 1 year. It's pretty good. That's part of the reason why I think when you look at the situation, this year is a positive year for the Canes. And the other thing it does, and they've continued to do this, is it does set a new standard. I think here's the way it looks like to me, right? Without being in the room with Don Waddell at the time and Eric Tulsky and Rod Brindamore at their little Knights of the Round Table decision makers, I think it was almost a 6-year build to last year. Right? They built up for over half a decade to last season, which is why if you go back to our preseason last year, we're talking about cup or bust. We're talking about can't prove anything till the postseason. I think it was a build up towards last year. And when last year was the big disappointment that it was in the postseason, they decided the best thing to do was to take a step back and retool. Not a full restart. Just a step back, a retool, change some things, reset some cap situations, and probably be ready to roll again next year. Not meaning this year as next year, like literal next year from where we stand right now. So think about the standard that was just set this season. Your retool years, your step back years end in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's about as high a standard as you can have. There's not a lot of steps in front of Eastern Conference Finals for you to step back and end up there. Is there a 4 or 5 guys, and who knows how many of them will even be on the roster next year? 4 or 5 guys that you wouldn't expect to be better next season than this season on this Carolina Hurricanes roster? Just by natural development and still being at the point of their careers where they're getting better rather than holding on and trying not to lose it? And who knows how many of them will even be on the roster, right? You're talking the Burns, the Orlovs, maybe a Stahl just by age. Like, there's not many of them, and I think more than a couple of them won't even be there. Everybody else should be better next year than they were this year. It's a build-up towards last year, a step back this year, still ended in the Eastern Conference Finals, and now full steam ahead, all systems go towards next year. I don't think we'll be sitting here being okay with anything but a Stanley Cup Finals next year, but we're putting the cart way ahead of the horse at that point. We have to see what happens this offseason. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. If you disagree or you have any other observations on the Canes, we want to hear them. It's a Thursday/Hurricane Soundoff coming up next. We are opening up the phone lines. Heister Automotive Group hotline. 919-860-5326 is the number to call. Heister Automotive Group hotline, 919-860-5326. Call in now for your reactions to Game 5, your reactions to the Eastern Conference Finals as a series, or the Canes season as a whole. We want them all. Questions, comments, debates. 919-860-5326. We'll be sounding off with your calls coming up next. Stick around.
When it comes to restoring cars, Diego's got skills. And with Total Wireless in his corner, the whole world sees them. With the dual camera system on his new iPhone 13, he can take amazing car photos and post them on the fly with super fast 5G, and even turn this hobby into a full-time gig. His claim to fame? Claiming iPhone 13 with 5G on us. Get iPhone 13 with 5G on us when you switch to the Total 5G or 5G Plus Unlimited 3-month plan. Total Wireless, in your corner. For limited time while supplies last. Valid in store. Device taxes and fees may apply. Requires port in and ID verification. Restrictions apply.
Are you ready for a global summer showdown? Thursday, June 19th at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Football legends collide at the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. Inter Miami and FC Porto. Lionel Messi and Jordi Alba taking on Diogo Costa and Rodrigo Mora. Don't miss your chance to be part of history. Grab your tickets now at FIFA.com/tickets.
Out on credit cards, struggling with high interest debt? You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
They say no two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app with over 16 million subscriptions sold? Well, we thought of you. All of you. Take Sierra. She's an artist and absolutely a visual learner. She's doing a deep dive into our Babbel wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Malcolm is very much a type A, say it to my face, listening learner. So he checks with Babbel's speech recognition to make sure that accent?
Precio.
Keith's a real people person and a curious learner. So he loves Babbel's culture bites, full of insights and native knowledge about the language he's learning. Like what's served for Christmas dinner in Germany?
Glühwein, Weihnachtsgans und Christmasstollen.
Wherever you are, however you learn, Babbel is the best choice to break any language barrier. Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time. Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes Dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned Cajun-fried whole breast tenderloin fillets. Choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles' legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
A pepperoni pizza for the table. May I suggest trying it with our Pepsi Zero Sugar? It has just the right amount of sweetness to complement all that cheesy, saucy goodness. Simply divine.
Pepsi Zero Sugar? You've really outdone yourself this time.
Pizza deserves Pepsi.
Handy Hugo's has a refreshing deal. 2 1-liter Pepsis for just $3. Quench your thirst at Handy Hugo's today.
It's dropped back here for Aho. He scores! He got the shot through. Bobrovsky couldn't stop it. And it's 2-0 Carolina. Oh, he put enough mustard on it. And it's 2-0.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. You may say it is the end of the road for the Carolina Hurricanes, having lost in the Eastern Conference Finals last night to end the series. You may also say every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Right? That's also a 90s song lyric. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. This might be the genesis for an unbelievable run next year. Either way, it was a loss last night. So let's hear from Adam Gold, our very own here at 99.9 The Fan. We will get to your calls. Heister Automotive Group hotline is open, 919-860-5326 for your sounding off involving the Canes season, the Canes game last night, the Canes series, all of the things that we want to hear. 919-860-5326 while Dennis puts the finishing touches on lining everybody up on the call-in line. Here's 2 minutes of gold with our very own Adam Gold.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and I've got 2 minutes for 2 goals and 2 minutes that led to Carolina's second Eastern Conference Finals loss to the Florida Panthers, and it's all brought to us by Parkway Sleep Health Centers for better sleep. The 2 goals came early. Carolina needed a fast start, and they got it from their best player.
Now a turnover. Here comes Aho on a break. Shoots, he scores! Carolina strikes first. It's 1-0. And the Canes off to an incredibly hot start. Carolina can clear. It's dropped back here for Aho. He scores! He got the shot through. Bobrovsky couldn't stop it. And it's 2-0. Carolina. Oh, he put enough mustard on it. And it's 2-0.
A 2-0 lead after 1, and it was great. It was going beautifully. Carolina had a power play with about 5 minutes into the second period. They didn't score, but it looked great until Jesperi Kotkaniemi took an unnecessary offensive zone penalty, and don't you know?
Now it's Ekblad with it. He shot through and they'll score. On the power play, Tkachuk was in front. There was a deflection, and it's Matthew Tkachuk's goal, his 5th of the postseason, 2nd of this series, and Florida has crawled back into this one, now trailing 2-1.
That goal, 30 seconds later, was an Evan Rodriguez goal. 4 minutes later was an Anton Lundell goal, and suddenly Carolina was swimming upstream. Yes, they tied it in the third period on a beautiful Seth Jarvis goal, but they gave that goal back when Carter Verhaeghe snuck in the back door and took a pass from Alexander Barkov. And then, with about 3 minutes left in the game, Sam Bennett takes an offensive zone penalty. What are you doing, Sam? But thank you. Carolina had chances, couldn't get one in, and then Bennett comes out of the box and ices it.
And there's 2 seconds left in the power play. Barkov gets to it. It'll be knocked down. Bennett can have an empty net. He's going to hustle out in front, and he scores. Sam Bennett out of the box, had a gaping net, took it in the corner, and it's 5-3 Florida with 53.4 seconds left here in Game 5.
It was a really good year with a disappointing ending because it started so well last night. But ultimately, the Hurricanes fall to the Florida Panthers for the second time in 3 years. Parkway Sleep Health Center, sound sleep, sound health. I need some sound sleep. It's been a great year. We'll see everybody next season as the Hurricanes pursue another Stanley Cup.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That's 2 minutes of gold with Adam Gold. Let's have some minutes of gold with our listeners, shall we? A little Hurricane sound off, which means we're opening up the phone lines. Heister Automotive Group hotline for you to call in and vent if you need to. Make a point if you need to. We want to hear all of your opinions on the Carolina Hurricanes. Heister Automotive Group hotline open, 919-860-5326. Let's start with Steve in Raleigh. Steve, you are up first. Welcome to the show. Go ahead and sound off.
Thanks a lot, Tim. Best show on the Fan.
Thank you.
I don't think anybody has made enough of the fact of Jalen Chatfield not being there. I just think he's very underrated. I think Nikison is going to be great one day, but I can't count how many times he was out of position a lot of times. And next year, I think with him being under Jacob Slavin's tutelage, whatever, I think it's going to be monster. And that's what we were missing, somebody in front of the net. You know, he had just too much freedom for Florida to go through right there in the slot, whatever. You know, we need some bodies out there. Florida, you got to give them their due. We're fast and we're skilled. They were bigger and fast and skilled, and you know, I think that was the difference. And I think that Chatfield would have made a difference. And you know, it's just my thought about it. I'm excited for next year.
Thank you very much, Steve. A lot of really, really good points there. That was Excellently put.
No notes.
No
notes.
And actually, hey, this is why we open up the phone lines. I hadn't mentioned Jalen Chatfield yet, and we needed to. Every criticism of Orlov this series should come with the caveat of, was he doing that all year and we just didn't notice because Chatfield was covering for him? Every time he was out of position or blown by or turned it over and it led to an issue, did we just not notice those because Chatfield was just wiping those errors off the screen? It's a possibility. It's a possibility. Edward in Wendell is up next. Edward, Heastra Automotive Group hotline open for calls, 919-860-5326. Edward, thank you for calling in. The floor is yours.
I think our big problem was special teams. My first call-in ever was last year, and I said the same thing about the Rangers. Our special team was okay. We've always had a good one. Also, I know we probably lose a bunch of players, but I don't think we need to say we're about to take another step back because we've been saying that for the past 3 years now, and that just hasn't been the case. I don't want to jinx it to knock on wood, but yeah, we need better goaltending too. Freddie, it's a day-to-day thing between Freddie and Kuznetsov. One of them is good, and Coach Chekhov.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is good, and then one of them is bad, and then that flip-flops, and we just can't have that. We need consistency, and that's just like our main problem.
I love it, Edward. You know I always appreciate your calls, so call back in anytime. You're right about special teams. I mean, at least last night, 0 for 6 on the power play, and then it ends up being essentially a one-goal game. I mean, that's very easy to point to.
And the goal that gets them started is a power play goal.
Very, very easy to point to. I don't think anybody is saying they're going to take a step back next year. I don't know if I misinterpreted what you were saying there. I think they were okay taking a step back from last year to this year. They ended up exceeding expectations, but they were okay with that because they needed to do some things roster-wise, cap-wise. But no, next year I think it's going to be all systems go with super high expectations. Linda in Roanoke, I believe this is this is the Linda, our Linda. Linda, for those of you that don't know, we've developed a relationship with Linda and her daughter Debbie on the show. Linda is fighting cancer and has been using the Canes run as a escape and as inspiration. So we are happy to hear from Linda always. Linda, thank you very much for calling in. You know how this works. Go ahead and sound off.
Well, I think I must have luck with you guys because every time I've tried to call in, I've gotten through, and it's amazing. But I will just say a couple things real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's only 4 months till the next season. I thought the game last night was fabulous. I didn't start following the Canes until the last 3 games of the regular season when my daughter Debbie got me started on it. So I am now a diehard Canes fan all the way, and I do think that they can only get better. They've got a lot of young players, like you said, that are going to only improve with their skills. I almost dread what might happen in the offseason as far as trading is concerned, but I know that's what happens. And now I have to stay alive for another whole year from this cancer so I can go to the Stanley Cup Finals next year.
Absolutely, Linda. Absolutely. You know we're all rooting for you. You know we're all supporting you. I do think if this is going to be your first NHL offseason, it doesn't really feel like an offseason. It's exciting. There's a lot going on. You have to wait, I don't know, a couple weeks, month until the real fireworks start. But buckle up because if it's your first one, there's going to be some really exciting news. So thank you for listening. Thank you for kind of jumping on the wagon with us, and we appreciate your loyal listenership.
Thank you, and I look forward to next season.
Love it. We look forward to having you along for the ride as well, Linda.
By the way, YouTube listeners like Nick, Robert, a few others saying shout outs to Linda. Let's go, Linda.
Shout outs to Linda. Now, now you're gonna have to be around for the next year's run. So keep fighting. Obviously, we're rooting for you. And actually, along those lines, right? She said she became a fan right at the end of the regular season. I think yesterday, sitting out in the plaza doing our show and seeing, because we did a little bit about the jerseys that we saw. There were some cool jerseys, but also Stankoven and Nikishin jerseys I believe I saw them in the team store before game 2 for the first time.
Yeah, they just got a fresh shipment in.
So it's a kind of a cool thing to see how many people are buying jerseys like right now. Right, you see an Aho jersey. They could have bought that 5 years ago. They could have bought it 2 years ago. They could have bought it last year, beginning of the year. You saw a Nikishin or a Stankoven jersey. You're like, oh, you bought that within the week. So there are fans that are either consistently committing to the Canes over and over and over again with their merch purchase, or new fans that are showing up and latching on to a new player, and maybe that's their first jersey. So new fans like Linda and many others, jumping on during a run like that, it's good for the team. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, Heister Automotive Group hotline, wide open for your calls, 919-860-5326. Nicole in Durham's been waiting patiently. Nicole, thank you very much for calling in. We'd love to hear what you have to say on the Canes.
Hey, shout out to Linda, first and foremost. We love
course.
these Caniac.
Clap it up for Linda.
At the game last night, Caniac Nation for sure showed up.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good to see. It was good to see the boys show up. We showed up. I know we didn't start the series how everyone expected us to, but I'm proud of how they finished it through. I'm sick of all the crap talk that's been going on, and I'm excited for next year. I think they put some good things together. Rod he had to audible all season long. We lost good people, had to fill in, rotate. I'm so proud of how the newbie stepped up. Excited. I'm Slavin. Oh my God. What a God.
Perfect, Nicole. Thank you very much for calling in. Call back in anytime.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate Slavin, right? You make a bunch of points and then just, oh yeah, Slavin, also way, 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 way good. I do, she is right about the atmosphere. Lenovo was rocking. The goal Jarvis scored to tie it 3-3. So, it's about as loud as I've heard in a long time. That place erupted. And then the next minute or two after that, when obviously you're making the push to take the lead back, that was about as loud as I can remember the Lenovo Center. So if you were there, good job putting your loud shoes on. Dean in Rocky Mount is up next here on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. Dean, welcome back. Go ahead and make your sounding off on the Canes.
Well, I'm glad to be back. They fought hard yesterday. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. But I'm excited for the offseason, excited to see what we do with all the picks we got from Dallas and our big prospect pool. I will say one thing, though. If you, during the season, we kind of did notice Orlov being out of position a lot on defense. It's just that, A, it was Chatfield covering up, but B, the Orlov propagandist also did a good job covering for him, because anytime he would make one mistake, it'd be like, but what about Brent Burns? What about Brent Burns? What about Brent Burns? Now, that's not me saying Brent Burns by any means was great this year, but anytime Orlov did something wrong, it was deflect the Burns, deflect the Burns.
Okay, I'm not going to. I think two things can be true, but thank you for the call. I think there were times where Orlov was struggling this year. There were also times when Burns was struggling this year, and it I guess you're saying it was kind of a distraction, not that it wasn't true. I think they skated with Slavin and Chatfield, and I think that does cover up for a lot. So you do have to point a spotlight on it if you want it noticed, because the goals won't be allowed when you're playing with Slavin and Chatfield because they cover it up.
Let's also not forget that Sean Walker was lost in this series as well. And we saw in different times in the Washington series where Sean Walker actually led the team in ice time, over Jacob Slavin at moments. Now, granted, it was a few seconds, but that's how much Rob Brindamore trusted him and at different points this year.
Important in different ways to the other two. And they're all coming back, obviously. Slavin, Chatfield, and Walker, very, very valuable, very, very good. Not saying they're all the same quality, but they're all wildly different. They all bring something very different to the team, and you need what they bring. I'm not Slavin. What a god, is that what the caller said? Yes, let's put him in his own category. But all three of them do bring something that is required for this team. I've been looking forward to this one. Micah in Morrisville is on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, one of our most loyal Canes callers. Micah, welcome back to the show. Floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I would just say, one, very proud of the guys. everybody said it, repetitive, but the future's obviously super bright. The one thing I will say, though, is I think one thing that we missed at the deadline, and it was all because of the Ranton and hold up, and it didn't finish till 3 o'clock and all that stuff, but we were missing the D depth. And I've heard like Tripp talk about it, and Rod's mentioned it a couple of times. Like we didn't have, Nikishin did a great job, but we needed like a 6th or 7th D-man, veteran D-man who's not good, like a Calvin DeHaan type, like someone like that who you can plug in and kind of fill when there's injuries like that. So I think that could have been, I think that was the one thing that Tulski might have missed out on in his first year. But other than that, it was an amazing year for Tulski. And then I'm a huge KK stan. Like I've loved him forever when everyone hates him, but I fear he lost his chance. It was just insane. I don't even know what I was watching. So yeah, we need a 2C big time. Orlov, everybody's already hit on it. Great guy, but yeah. But I don't think Ghost's getting talked about enough, but Dennis just brought it up. Sean Walker covers a lot for Ghost, but without Sean Walker, Ghost has some issues. And then this is kind of a Tim thing, but we need to be like meaner and badder in front of our net and forwards. Like we need somebody who's going to literally rock them when they get near Freddie. Nikishin might do that, but we need somebody meaner than that. And like Brendan Lemieux, let him in there. He would have beat the brakes off of somebody. So yeah, I got to give him a shout out. Yeah, that's all I got.
Love it, Micah. There's a few things there. One great point about Gostisbehere. I do think maybe in different ways to like Orlov, Gostisbehere, like Sean Walker covers for Ghost, but Ghost does some other things that make covering for Ghost make sense. Like, oh, you cover for him like as a straight defensive guy, so you can have him on the power play, so you can have him doing other things. There was less of that for Orlov. Like, I think I can acknowledge that Orlov brings a certain physicality and a heavy shot. I don't know if that is enough to warrant how much you had to cover for him as just a straight-up defensive assignment guy. So I think Ghost brought more to the table as far as other things that make it more kind of cost-efficient to have to cover for him as a straight-up defensive assignment guy.
And I think Gostisbehere being paired with Morrow, now Gostisbehere's way, I got to cover for the rookie now.
Yeah.
So, again, there's a lot that's taken away in that regard. But let's just keep this in mind about Shane Gostisbehere last night. On that game-time wall, it was him that sealed the wall. The game-time goal by Seth Jarvis. He was the one that sealed the wall and kept the puck in the zone. Like, that was a play that all started. If Gostisbehere doesn't make that play, that goal doesn't happen. And that's what he brings. And the guy obviously can quarterback a power play as well. So, I mean, he is admittedly, like, open, like, hey, look, I know I'm not the best on penalty kill. I know I'm not the best when it comes to actual, like,
he gives
on
an
the
effort,
defensive
but it's
side
just,
of things.
not there, yeah.
Like, he understands his strengths. He's openly talked about that himself. But, there's a couple times, this postseason where Shane Gostisbehere made some plays.
Scored goals. He's a point producer this postseason when points were needed.
Yeah.
We have a few more here to get to before the top of the hour, so I want to keep it moving. I could talk about the blue line, though, a lot. Jim in Pittsburgh is up next on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. Jim, welcome to the show. It is a Kane Soundoff, so go ahead and take the floor.
Well, I've been watching this for the past 20 years, and I don't know why we don't get a bigger, meaner goal scorer up front, but I know we thought Stechwood might be that, but he's not. There's a couple guys. We don't need a superstar, but we've got to have some big skill players. We've got lots of little skill players. We've got to have some, like your last caller said, we just got to get a little bigger and meaner. The analytics, they might say it doesn't matter. Adam Gold said he's talked to somebody in the front office that said we don't think size matters, but I think it really showed against Florida. And we did great. We weren't even supposed to get to the conference finals, so we got to be happy about that. We were missing 2 defensemen, which goes back again to not bringing in a 7th defenseman with NHL experience. But like your last caller said, I think we need somebody big on the blue line because Kachuk was just standing there unmolested on the power play when he tipped in that goal. I mean, there are actually 2 guys standing there without anybody on them that tipped that goal in. So size, I think, does matter. And last thing is a shout-out to your caller with cancer. I'm a physician. I know how important it is to have something to look forward to and something to cheer for. So I've got big good impressions with your caller with the cancer, and best of luck to her.
Thank you very much, Jim, and we'll echo everything you said there at the end for Linda in Roanoke. There aren't that many. This is my official stance. I think we need, meaning the Canes need, a big, dynamic, physical goal scorer. I just don't know if that exists. There's no store where it's like, hey, where's your Matthew Tkachuk's? And they're like, aisle 4, go grab 7 of them. It's like there's just not that many. And by the way, to say size, the analytics say size isn't as important. Does Marchand kind of fill that role for Florida? Just he's not big, but he's not. He brings that kind of deal.
And so does Sam Bennett, Tkachuk. There's a bunch of guys that do it.
It's I think an attitude thing as much as anything else. I just, are there any perfect players that give you everything you need? And if not, what do you sacrifice, right? Do you want the dynamic goal scorer that helps your power play and keeps the puck moving and is mean and has size? All right, well, I mean, how many people on planet Earth did I just describe? You got to remove one of those from your wish list. Is it mean? Is it size? Is it score? What are you willing to compromise on? Because there's just not that many dudes.
One guy. We'll talk about this more obviously tomorrow and next week as well. Matthew Nyes, Toronto Maple Leafs offer sheet. That guy put up 29 goals and 29 assists this year. 22 of them came right in front of the net.
That's
22 of those 29 goals.
Boom.
Just
solved.
Saying.
Boom. All right, we have one more caller we want to get to. Isaiah in Wake Forest has been waiting. So before the top of the hour, Isaiah, round out our Hurricane sound off with a bang here. What do you have for us?
Okay. Thanks for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
First off, it was a great season, so I'm happy with that. Conference Finals is as good as it gets without a Stanley Cup, but I feel like going through this Conference Finals showed a few gaping holes. For one, I feel like, Freddie's really good, but he's getting old, and you could see him getting tired as the series progressed. And I think we also really need a superstar. I know Aho's a great player, Jarvis, and then Svet is just not what they wanted him to be, or just somebody mean. Like Tom Wilson, during the Capitals series, I hated him, but he's so good. We need somebody who just can beat around some people and draw some attention away, just be bigger or tougher or something like that. But, just overall great season.
Isaiah, I love the call. I appreciate it. Call back in anytime. But you have maybe unintentionally done exactly what we do here in radio, which is called the tease, because your conversation about Aho, your conversation about needing the superstar, about what Svech was supposed to be and maybe he's not, is exactly what I want to talk about coming up next. It is technically football at 4 coming up next, but you better believe it's going to relate to the Canes. We talk superstars. Who is, who isn't, who could be, coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
Move your sports day forward.
In a league dripping with tradition, the NHL's hottest coach right now, Paul Maurice, refuses to shake the hands of players because he wasn't on the ice. Come on, dude. Show them just a little teeny bit of respect. Imagine if you had seen 2 youth coaches not shaking hands. Parents would come out of the stands.
Get set up. Join Next Up with Paul Ihander. Mornings at 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Bluebell Groom's Cake Ice Cream is renewing its vows on the frozen aisle. Milk chocolate ice cream with chocolate cake pieces, chocolate-coated strawberry hearts, swirls of strawberry sauce, and chocolate icing. See you at the reception.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now. Look
for Bluebell ice cream at Walmart Supercenters and Walmart Neighborhood Markets.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-961-5544. 800-961-5544.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, and it's no surprise. Same game parlay from Bet365 just keeps getting better.
Well, it's even easier to make a bet. Choose from the most popular markets like hits, run line, totals, and home runs. So many to choose from.
Download the app, start building your bet, and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in North Carolina. T&Cs apply.
NASCAR on Prime lights up Music City.
Here we go, Nashville. See what you got here.
Who's got what it takes to tackle the concrete at Nashville Superspeedway and walk away with NASCAR's coolest trophy?
Let's freaking go!
Stream the NASCAR Cup Series at Nashville Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, where music meets motorsports.
Safety up, safety up.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Only on Prime.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score!
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. Nice warm afternoon out there. Temperatures in the low 80s, mostly cloudy skies and some afternoon and evening thunderstorms. A few of those could produce some wind damage. 83 for the high temperature. Mid-60s overnight tonight, and tomorrow's high 81. Once again, late day showers and storms, but it's a level 2 risk, meaning we could have some isolated tornadoes.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb and Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 4 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones up 102 points to 42,201.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I think we're stumbling into Dennis's I just had a bad day playlist. When it's raining and he can't ride his bike, he throws on some Prince, some Boys to Men. Emotional guy back there producing the show.
Little Purple Rain.
Like fake water dripping down a window.
Yeah.
The
like
drive
Joey
with,
from Friends.
Yeah, exactly. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is football at 4, but I thought we've been making these comparisons between the Panthers and the Canes quite a bit, meaning the Carolina Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes. And usually we emphasize the differences. Today I'm going to emphasize a similarity. Despite the fact that the Carolina Panthers have been a laughingstock for a handful of years, and the Canes have become a model of consistency and winning a playoff series every year, and the Panthers are always at the bottom of the power rankings, and the Canes, the analytics always love, and all of these things. The thing that they have shared is fans going, do we have that dude? Because as consistent as the Canes have been, and the system is good top to bottom, and everybody hustles, and you have to play a certain way, and Rod demands this, there has been the question of, do you have that superstar? Do you have that guy that's going to score that goal? And you know what goal I'm talking about, right? The backbreaker. When you're up 2-0 against Florida, and you get a power play, And 3-0 feels like a nail in the coffin to send the thing back to Florida for Game 6. Did they have the guy to score that goal? And with the Panthers, it's pretty much got to be a quarterback if you're talking Carolina Panthers, right? You hope it's Bryce. And he showed some signs of it this past year, right? Some of those late drives. For the Canes, it's always been, well, it better be Aho. Well, it better be Sebastian Aho. And I'll tell you this right now. Watching last night, the first period of Game 5 was my favorite Sebastian Aho period that I have seen. And that's not to say it was his best top to bottom. There were, I've seen periods where he goes undefeated in the face-off circle and has 4 hits and he scores a goal, right? I've seen him play better top to bottom. But the thing that he was in the first period of last night was a killer. He was a killer. And I say that in the best way possible, in the most complimentary way possible. I am greedy when it comes to Sebastian Aho. I understand that he can play well without scoring. Right? That's been one of the themes throughout this postseason run is I've been calling Aho a conundrum, right? A mystery, a riddle. He's really hard to understand from where I sit. Because the people I trust for in-depth hockey knowledge tell me that all of the things that he does so well, right? There's games where I come out of it just so unsatisfied with the way he played, and they're just hitting me with, but did you see his defensive fundamentals? Did you see how much he helped on the penalty kill? And I'm going like, yeah, generally I saw it, but I also didn't see the thing that I need to see from a dude. That killer instinct. He had it. And maybe the key, I joked about this yesterday, maybe the key for Aho was he had to get the first one on a solo breakaway where there was nobody for him to pass it to, so he didn't have the option to be unselfish, right? He pick-sixed it, right? He got the interception, and he was off to the races, and I'm going to do my impression of everybody else that was on the ice for the Canes. Go Fishy! That was it, right? They're not even trying to get up there with him because he's either going to score or he's not, and we're going to be back coming this direction, right? And he put it in the back of the net, and that unlocked something because the second goal is the one I love even more. The second goal in the first period wasn't an obvious, like the first one, he had no choice. It was a shot, right? He was going to shoot it. If he didn't, it would have been the most ridiculous thing ever. There was nobody to pass it to, and he had the fast break. So boom, shoots it, goal, great. The second one wasn't a guaranteed shot. Right? He could have cycled it around. He could have tried stick handling. He could have tried to set someone up, but he didn't. And he scored the goal, and he skated around the back of the net, and an arm in the air, stone cold expression, little bit of a head nod, and I went, ooh, I like that look in his eye. I like that look in his eye. It was the most he has looked like what I believe is the archetype, the prototype, the best version of a superstar. That period right there. That whole, we need a hot start, cool. I'll be that. Now the question is, can you do that consistently? The question is, can you do that every time it's needed? Because the great ones find a way. It's funny because they struggled on the power play. We'll get into it more in depth later, but I think a power play is an opportunity or maybe even a necessity where you have the guy, right? There's one less defender. Give me the puck. Watch what I do with it, right? You need like an ISO scorer in the NBA. You need Ovechkin, right, as the all-time leader in power play goals, where it feels inevitable. You need that guy. I'm not sure that's ever going to be Aho. I think that's something they need to go get in the offseason. But Aho does have he has the clutch thing, right? Which is why it's so frustrating. In overtimes, he's really, really good. You see him put the team on his back, like in the double overtime game, the series clincher in way back against the Devils. Like the first period last night. It's in there. That's why I'm greedy with Aho. I want everything that everybody else loves and what I consider the killer instinct. I want the great forechecking, back checking. I want the mark on defense not getting out of your sight. I want the leadership. I want the assist, but I also want that. You know, I love the Bad Boys movies. And there's a running thing, right, where Marcus, played by Martin Lawrence, is timid, he's goofy, right? He's a lot of the comic relief, while Will Smith is the cool and the suave and the Mike Lowry. And Martin Lawrence does something awesome in a fight or in a scene, and then you have Will Smith sitting there going, now that's how you shoot. From now on, that's how you shoot. It's like, I knew you had it in you. That's what I felt like in the first period. So if you tell me you're going to get that Aho for a season or for the majority of a regular season, I know everybody's going to have their off games, and then you're going to have that in elimination games and potential closeout games in the postseason, that solves some things. But you need that version of Aho. I've been screaming for it, and we saw it. It was there. He morphed in. He went into the telephone booth for a second, came out with a cape, and he showed it to us for 20 minutes. Was Svetch supposed to be the inevitable scorer? Maybe. He was a second overall pick. Like, he brought certain skills and everything. Yeah, maybe he was supposed to. I just don't get I don't get the same panache feeling, that same je ne sais quoi, that same thing. I think Aho has it, but he just has to do it. That you need Dennis, you'll love this moment, right? Mm-hmm. Spoiler alerts if you haven't watched like the 900 movies you need in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay, I can catch everyone up. Go on.
Aho needs the moment where the hammer comes to him.
Yeah.
Like Captain America.
Yeah.
Where everybody looks around and goes like, we all had a pretty good feeling you were worthy, but it's really good to see it be known. Right now it's there. Last night, first period, I was like, there it is. Like the hammer came to him, and then it didn't end up finishing out that way. But we need you to stay there. Right? I've had a good feeling. The Panthers were not messing around last night. Okay, I want that to be clear. You could argue Game 4, there was a little bit of them saying, if anybody that's a little banged up, we're going to sit. They sat out Greer. They sat out Reinhardt. They sat out Mikula, who all were back for Game 5. You could argue, if you really wanted to, that Florida, I don't want to say took their foot off the gas, but they weren't full throttle. You couldn't say that last night. Right, they were up to all their tricks. Every whistle, they're pushing and shoving, and they were up to all their tricks. And Sebastian Aho made it happen in the first period. He might be that dude. Gosh, it would make everything easier if he is. If he's not, you got to go find one. And do you know what's actually the best option here? Go get another. Right, because that's the part where it's a little different between we're comparing Carolina Panthers and the Canes. Hockey, you can have as many as you want. Football, it's like, well, you know, especially if it's the quarterback, like you need one and everybody rallies around. The best hockey teams, they've got 5 dudes, right? And they all want the puck in the big moments. Not saying they're greedy, not saying they're selfish, not saying they don't pass it when they should, but they all want the puck in the big moments. And when one scores 2 in the first period, the other 4 are going, the second period is mine. Go get another one, but goodness gracious, I know it's in there for Aho. You know I like to name my theories, Dennis. Mm-hmm. I have maybe I'll call this like the Beatles theory, okay? I have a theory about bands where if you have one genius in a band, you can be a really, really good band. Okay, you can put out albums, you can tour for the rest of your life, you're good. But you become like a legendary band when you have more than one. Okay? When you have not only McCartney, but Lennon. When Nirvana has not only Kurt Cobain, but look, Dave Grohl goes on and starts his own band and is really gosh darn good with the Foo Fighters. Right? Queen, it's like, well, look at this. Brian May on guitar is a genius, and Freddie Mercury was his lead singer, right? When you put two geniuses in the same band, that's where you level up.
I get Jimmy Page and John Bonham and Led Zeppelin.
Yes, exactly. You can tour and you can be really good and you can have a fan base with one genius. But when you get two, you start to go into rare air. I look at team sports a lot of the same ways, right? If you have, I always relate back to football because it's what I played. If you have a genius quarterback, you can win a Super Bowl or two, right? But if you have somebody on the defensive side that's also a genius and you have the quarterback that's a genius, you can be a dynasty. Right? What's the difference between Peyton Manning with the Colts and Brady with the Patriots? Brady had Belichick on the other side. Shout out to UNC. Right? So they had two geniuses. You get that extra genius, it works. Same is true for it factors. Go get and whoever it is, we'll break down the free agency class and who might be available by trade in the offer sheet class. We're not doing that today yet, but go get another genius and then hope Aho emerges as what we saw in the first period yesterday. Now you got two. Right? Now you got two. Now you got Lennon and McCartney. And by the way, you could argue all four in the Beatles were, which is why I call it the Beatles theory. You look at the songs that like George Harrison wrote and Ringo wrote, and you're like, wow, they all can write hits, can't they? Yeah. Don't disrespect Ringo back there. Percussion. That would be Slavin, I guess. Slavin is the drummer of the band. He's a genius in his own right, but he's just keeping tempo and making sure everybody else is on the right page. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Gosh, that first period, chef's kiss for Sebastian Aho. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We have a ladder challenge to get to. We have more Canes talk to get to. Hurricanes and cons heading into the offseason. We have so much more here on The Drive. Don't go anywhere.
The Adam Gold Show.
I am not a watcher of Entertainment Tonight or Bravo Network. I don't care about these things. I don't care about the relationship between Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson unless it impacts football. Nobody has made the connection for me that this will impact football. But I will say this. The university can't separate itself from the relationship because Belichick is UNC football.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
Westwood One Sports presents this special tennis update. Novak Djokovic just won his 100th career tournament, now shooting for Grand Slam number 25, a straight set second-round victory in Paris over France's Corentin Moutet. Last week, Djokovic turned 38. João Fonseca is 18, the Brazilian phenom, also into the third round, also in straight sets. American Ethan Quinn won in 5 after trailing Alexander Shevchenko 2-1. Quinn won the fourth set in a tiebreaker, the decisive fifth, 7-5. Another good match is going now. Jack Draper and Gael Monfils split the first 2 sets. Coco Gauff, Jess Pagula, and Madison Keys all move on. So does American Sophia Kenin. The 2020 Aussie Open champ took out 35-year-old Victoria Azarenka, who won in Australia back in 2012 and 13. A trio of other Americans were sent packing. Second-round defeats for Ashlyn Kruger, Robin Montgomery, and Alicia Parks. With this tennis update, John Stashower, Westwood One Sports.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
The Jeep brand has always stood for American freedom. And now we're standing with you with Employee Pricing Plus. Hurry into your Jeep brand dealer for details today and join the family. Jeep, there's only one. Offer valid on select 2024 and 2025 Jeep brand vehicles for non-FCA employees and retirees. $200 admin fee applies. Not all buyers will qualify. Restrictions apply. Does not apply to leases. Ends June 2nd, 2025. Jeep is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time.
Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes Dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned, Cajun-fried, whole breast tenderloin fillets, choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's Bo time.
Are your monthly bills keeping you up at night, wondering how you got so behind? Hey, I'm Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. I get it. Life is expensive now. Insurance, groceries, cars. And then there's the credit card debt with those obscene interest rates. It's time to regain your financial freedom. And that's what we offer at Loan Pronto, using the power of the equity in your home. We have multiple ways to get you the cash you need, and most clients close in 2 weeks or less, and many don't even require an appraisal. And listen, rates have been plummeting recently. We just locked a homeowner in with an APR in the low 5s, saving her over $1,000 per month, and put $10,000 in her pocket. Life-changing money. Whether you're drowning in debt, have a nosebleed rate you got last year, need home improvements, or simply need cash in your pocket, we can help you accomplish this goal in record time. Call us today and get started with no hard credit pull, just a conversation. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. That's LoanPronto.com.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
As the Canes will keep it in deep. Florida looking to get it out. Forsling bounce it. Now it comes out in front. Holding shoot. He scores! Seth Jarvis with the turnover. And Carolina has tied it at 3.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That Jarvis goal, Jarvie just saying, I got a little sauce for you, a little skill for you.
I've heard Lenovo extremely loud over the last 7 years. That's up there. Like, that was up there. That place went nuts when he scored.
And do you know what I really like about Canes fans? The goal, bananas, right? And the eruption there, it was loud. You get the goosebumps, all that kind of stuff. It's like the minute after a play like that, where you think you can really impact the game, where if Florida's a little frazzled, you might be able to help keep them frazzled. It felt like they got louder for like, I don't know, a minute 30 of game time after the goal, right? The next face-off, everybody gets jacked back up, and then it's up, up, up. That is such an underrated part of fandom because I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but like you make the shot, everybody goes crazy. If you're calm by the face-off, none of the gameplay was impacted. The goal was scored by the time you cheered, and by the time everybody's lined up for the face-off, you're already calm. It's you just cheered during a timeout essentially. But the Canes fans, right, the Caniacs, did get back energized after the Jarvis goal for the next like minute and a half of gameplay. And some chances were created. They weren't able to take advantage of it, but some chances were created, and that's just being a good fan right there. I thought the fans showed very well in this postseason run.
Oh, absolutely.
During games 1 and game 2, the shoot the puck chance, that's a snarky way to be a really good fan for a team that isn't playing their brand of hockey. I think during the overtime games that they faced a whole bunch early in the postseason run, fans were locked in all the way to the end. They were given some really bad start times as far as fans getting there, right? Some like mid-afternoon Easter Sunday games, some 6 o'clock on a work day games. Just the NHL wasn't helping out. Fans found a way. So, Caniacs, credit to you. This is me just sucking up to listeners. Like, you're awesome. How great are you? It is like so many of you when you call in, right? You say something nice about the show right at the beginning. You guys are the real MVP. I'll put it that way. We appreciate the fine words, but you guys are the real MVP. Let's jump into a ladder challenge, shall we, Dennis? I will be much less complimentary of my competitor in this one. Dennis, how'd it go for you last night?
It didn't. I just needed Logan Stankoven to get one shot on goal. That's it. That's it.
I'll take back my
a couple blocked.
I'll take back my big aggressive laugh there because I didn't realize, I forgot that you had bet on the Canes. Stanky didn't get a single shot on goal.
No. You had a great opportunity in the first period where you cut to the middle in the slot. It's like, oh, okay, nice little move. Rips a shot, I forget who it was. It may have been Ekblad. Just got a piece of it. It was like, dang it.
Could have been the difference.
Yeah.
Could have been
He could have opened the scoring.
That's the worst part about a close game like that. That deflection could have been the difference. Next play, pass gets tipped. That could have been the difference. Next play, everything could have been the difference. So you're back down to 10.
Yeah.
This
has not been a great month for us.
Pretty awful, actually. We only have today and tomorrow as far as making picks.
Yeah, that's it.
And right now I'm in the lead with $15.42.
Look at you go.
I had Dante DiVincenzo, one or more threes for Minnesota last night against the Thunder because I'd speaking of Killer Instinct, I just know Dante has it. Been following him a long time. He finished with 2 made threes, 2 for 4, even in a blowout loss. They got absolutely smacked. One of the intermissions last night at the Canes game, I brought up my computer and I looked at the basketball score. It was halftime, and don't quote me exactly, but it was I'm within a point or two here. 65-32. Thunder over Minnesota.
Okay.
32 points scored in the first half. You know what my first thought was?
UVA?
No, my first thought was, oh, no, Dante probably didn't make a 3. The darn ladder challenge. I brought it up here. I'd already hit one. So I'd already had the winner. Didn't have to worry about it the rest of the night. That gives me $15.42 to bet today. I'm going back to a similar well. Tonight there's an opportunity for the Pacers to eliminate the Knicks. I'm taking Tyrese Halliburton, 2 or more threes versus the Knicks. Halliburton, again, I'm going with a theme here today. Killer Instinct. That guy is the most smooth and unassuming Killer Instinct player that we've seen in a postseason in a long time. I saw a thing going viral about Tyrese Halliburton, point guard for the Pacers, that he plays like there's a random – remember the show Family Matters?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Urkel. There's a random game, episode where one of the storylines is Steve Urkel is really good at basketball.
Oh, yes, there's a couple of those.
And somebody said Tyrese Halliburton plays like Steve Urkel when he's dominating the game.
Yeah, I saw the video.
And they interspersed Halliburton highlights with Urkel dominating. And I mean, it's not exact, but it's close enough to get the joke.
It's pretty darn close.
So I'm taking Urkel for at least 2 threes versus Knicks. Tonight, it is minus 600. It'll turn my $15.42 into $17.99. And if he's a baller, after he hits the second 3, he will ask the question we all want to know. Did I do that? Urkel. Shout out to people that understand Family Matters. Where are you betting tonight, Dennis?
I'm going to go a little hockey tonight. Edmonton Oilers looking to close things out against the Dallas Stars on the road tonight. Game 5. Give me a combined total over 3.5 goals between these two teams. It's a minus 725, so my $10 will turn into $11.37.
I'm 2 away from bringing the trophy back to its
I just need Halliburton to miss some shots.
The thing is, he takes a lot of threes, so he could miss a bunch of shots and still get 2.
You're going to make me root for the Knicks tonight. How dare.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But as a Sixers fan, I don't like the Pacers either, so let's go Thunder. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That is a ladder challenge, bringing that trophy back in here to the host studio shortly, hopefully. This one's going to be interesting. Little hurricanes and cons, shall we?
But to play great defense, you need one thing above all else. That starts with a W. Confidence.
Hurricanes and cons. What are you most confident in? What are you most concerned about? For the Carolina Hurricanes. And obviously, this is having gathered information for an entire preseason, an entire regular season, trade deadline, second big trade by the trade deadline, postseason, first round, second round, Eastern Conference Finals. We've gathered all this information heading into the postseason. What are you most confident about? What are you most concerned about? Heading into the offseason, not the postseason. What are you most confident and what are you most concerned about? As always, I've got good news and bad news. Which do you want first? Give me the bad news. Dennis, you can lead off. What are you most concerned about?
My concern going into the offseason, what's the availability at center for this team to add a second center, add a top 2 center? If you get a guy that's really is a number 1 and Aho is your number 2 center, okay, that's fine.
I'm fine with that. I'll call it 1A and 1B.
1A, 1B.
Just to make myself feel better, and
Sure.
I like Aho, but if it's 1 and then Aho's 2, we're fine.
Yeah, that's totally fine. But they need another second center, or they need another top 2 center. to play on this team. Because we have seen over the last several years, since Vincent Trocheck left in free agency a few years ago to go to the New York Rangers, this team has tried multiple times to find a number 2 center. They thought Jesperi Kotkaniemi was going to be that. It just hasn't worked out. He's been with this team for 4 years and yet still gets relegated to either fourth-line duties or, as we saw in the playoffs, a healthy scratch. We even saw last night Mark Jankowski get put up with Taylor Hall and Jackson Blake on the second line in the third period of a game where you needed it. And Jesperi Kotkaniemi get relegated. We also saw last year multiple times Jack Drury got put up as the second center last year. Rod didn't want to do that, but he had to do it. We saw Jack Roslovic play the second center spot this year, up and down the lineup. They got to go out and find somebody that can be that number 2 center for this team. They just simply have to have it. Jordan Stahl, where he is, it's perfect. Mark Jankowski can run as your 4th center. Totally okay with both of that. But they got to find someone, because they got exposed at that position in this series against the Florida Panthers. When you saw the Florida Panthers go Barkov, Bennett, Lundell as 1, 2, 3, Carolina couldn't match Barkov, Bennett, Lundell in this series.
My concern actually one-ups you. Mine is also centers. I think they need 2. Not just a 2 center.
Yeah.
I think the strength, I use the literary term "kill your darlings," which means when you're writing a book, if you're writing a book with 10 characters, and you go, "There's too much going on here. I have to cut 2 characters out." Right? I can only handle 8 storylines, 8 character developments. I got to cut 2. The better the characters that you cut are, the better your story is. Right? If I'm cutting great characters, just imagine how good the 8 are. Right? Because the 8 must be better than the ones I cut. Mark Jankowski, I love. Big fan. By the way, I think I was right when the Jankowski jerseys were walking around, and I said, I think that might be his family. Somebody on Twitter, on social media, said that they ran into Jankowski's dad in the eye, and Jankowski's dad gave them a Jankowski jersey. So I think the Jankowskis had the Jankowski jersey.
Let's go.
Which makes sense, right? Why wouldn't you be at a game where your family member, your son, is going to be skating in an elimination game at home in the Eastern Conference Finals? But the Kotkaniemi experience, which we'll talk about, I think many would hope potentially coming to an end, is going to open up and must get top 2-line center. I think you probably need to get at least one more. I think Stahl and that line are great for what they do. I don't think you want them skating second-line minutes. I don't think you want to be depending on them to score like a second line, which at times you've had to. And Jankowski, to me, becomes the perfect utility man. He can center if he needs to. He can play wing if he needs to. He can take face-offs. He can penalty kill. He can be physical. He can do so much, but I don't think you want to slot him in as the 4th center as much as we like him. So the reason why it's a concern is centers aren't easy to get. Teams aren't parting with them. Like, oh, you need an NHL quality, good, solid second-line center? Oh yeah, I've got 5 of them here. Actually, I didn't know what I was going to do with all of these. Throw us some picks. Like, that doesn't exist. And as great as the Canes system is, right? And they're, pretty routinely ranked between 5 and 10 with prospects, like rankings in the league. Not a lot of centers coming up. I think I saw 6 of their top 11 prospects by some source are defensemen. And then you have Nadeau, who's a winger, like not going to be in the face-off circle. Like there's Unger Sorum, maybe, but definitely not ready to be a main character on a cup team next year. It's just hard to get, right? It's I'll say the same thing I always say, right? Edge rushers, 3-point shooters, left-handed relievers, centers, right? Goalies. There are certain things that everybody wants and nobody's parting with. That's my concern. Dennis, what's your confidence? What are you most confident in?
That this team doesn't have a whole lot of spots to fill. I mean, you got 4 defensemen that are coming back next year, not including Alexander Nikishin. you might need to find one. If you don't feel like Scott Moore is ready to be a full-time NHLer next year, he needs another year in the American League, that's totally okay. I'm fine with that. Okay, you might need to go find another right-handed defenseman and a seventh guy. Or maybe Morrow's just the seventh guy you bring up if again, continues to develop. But, I mean, look at guys that are under contract for next year. You really only have about 2 roster spots that you really need to fill, at least amongst your forwards. Maybe 3 if you, depending on what you decide to do with Kotkaniemi, whether it's trade or a buyout. But there's not a whole lot of roster spots you have to fill. And with all the cap space that you have and the draft capital that you added with the Mikko Rantanen trade, you have a ton of flexibility to be aggressive and go after and get guys. You might have to overpay a little bit, but guess what? You set yourself up for that in a good way, where you can overpay for somebody if you need to. Hey, I got to kick in an extra second. Cool, we'll do that. I've got 5 or 6 first-round picks over the next 4 years. Take advantage of that.
Mine
you
is
have a
very
ton
similar.
of capital to work with.
Mine, I could have written the capital. Mine is the resources.
Yeah. Same thing.
The needs are obvious, and you brought up a bunch of them. But you have the resources to solve them, right? Which goes back to another one of my favorite sayings, right? Do you have a problem? Yes. Do you know how to fix it? Yes. Then you don't have a problem. You have a chore, right? You have a task. Looking at the Canes roster, I think we all know, right? You need the centers. You need a scorer. You might need a right-handed third-pairing defenseman. There's specific things you need, but you have 4 first-round picks in the next 3 drafts. You have a whole boatload of cap space. You have prospects that I think would draw interest from opposing teams. You have the resources to solve your problem. You just have to go do it. So my confidence is, there are things that this team was outmatched, right? I think I saw Adam Gold, and don't quote me on this, but I think I saw people like this is how rumors get started. So I just want to be clear. Adam might not have said this, but I think I saw people on social media reacting that he said 5 forwards for the Canes would be in the top 12 for the Panthers. Is kind of like how he was looking at it, just as a talent kind of comparison and showing that the Panthers just had they had the dudes. I think we're aware, right? I don't think anybody is, arguing that everything on this roster is perfect. But you have the money to spend, right? It's hey, I'm not, oh man, I need a TV because my TV broke. But I have enough money to buy a TV. It's like, all right, you just got to run to the store. You just have a task. You have a chore. I need a center because our center's broke. Shout out to Kotkaniemi. But I have the money to spend. All right. Got to go find it. All right, now you got the chore. Go find out who's available. Who's fallen out of favor with their favorite team, right? Who's going to be a cap casualty? Figure out who's out there and go solve it. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. If you have a hurricane confidence or concern, you can let us know in the YouTube comments. 99.9 The Fan on YouTube. Live stream always running. Comments is where we want to see you. Let's have this conversation quickly. If you're looking for not a person, right? Because you could pin blame, quote unquote, on a couple guys that made big mistakes last night. If you're looking to pin it on an aspect of the game, I think power play is one that would be near the top of the list. When you have six power play opportunities and you come up 0 for, right? I mean, this is like if the numbers game gave you an extra chance, gave you another name, and you still came up 0. 0 for 6. And it's a game that it comes down to essentially 1 goal. I know they got the empty netter, but essentially 1 goal. There you go. Right there. If you just took advantage of the advantage once, it's a different ball game. You might still be playing. We might be sitting here previewing Game 6, talking about how the Panthers are on their heels. Instead, we're here doing an autopsy because your power play couldn't convert 1 out of 6. Rod Brindamore, after the game, was asked about the power play going 0 for. This is what he said.
That's the killer. Even the first one was great. We had a couple good looks. Blaker's all alone in front, and then even the last one, especially, is right there. those got to find a way to get in the net, So yeah, that's definitely, when you look back on this game, that'll be a couple lost moments there for sure. But it's done now.
Yeah, the Svech one you could call out. There were a few, typical Canes power plays where they passed it. I think it was 74 times more than I wanted to. And you shoot the puck. Like, there was a few of those. There was a few where they cycled in guys that maybe aren't their main job is to be out there doing it. And then there's the one where Svech gets it with 2.5 minutes left in a 1-goal game, and he's like, it's on a tee for him right in, and just doesn't even sniff the net. Seth Jarvis, part of it, obviously, talked about the struggles on the power play.
I thought we had looks. I mean, we had a couple bobble pucks, but for the most part, I didn't hate how we were looking. I think we were near the end. I think we got a little more urgent, obviously, and started putting more pucks in that. We maybe could have done that a little bit earlier, but obviously you can just score in games like this. They did, and we didn't. That's kind of the result of it.
You got to find the back of the net. You got to. Those are one of those you just have to. You just got to. And to combine the last two things we were talking about, right, like the shopping list things you want, to me, power play is one of the few moments in a game where the overpowering talents earn their keep, right? Just the bigger, taller, faster, stronger. When everybody wants to pass it a million times, they eventually just say, no, give me the puck, watch what I do with it. That is one of the needs for next year. And by the way, I'm not breaking news here. The Canes know they need those kinds of assassin scorers. Thus, the last two trade deadlines, right? Or last two trade periods, right? Because I guess Mikko, the acquisition wasn't at the deadline. Like Gensel, Mikko Rantanen, like those guys are there to score goals in those opportunities, right? They're going to be on the first power play. They're going to be benefiting from the passes from Aho and everything else. They know that's what it's needed. That's why I was so excited. If you go back, and it probably hasn't aged the best, if you go back to when they traded for Mikko, that's why I was so excited, because I thought he could be that, right? He's the guy that's, hey, we're not going to go 0 for 6 on the power play, right? Like, just there's people that say that with their actions, that they need that, because if you get eliminated in a game that is essentially a 1-goal game, and you go 0 for 6 on the power play, I don't know if many coaches are looking elsewhere on the stat sheet before they go, yep, there it is right there. There's the kicker. There's right. Mm-hmm. I don't want to make it that simple, but it might be that simple. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I don't want to make it this simple, but it might be this simple. The entire game changed from positive to negative when Jesperi Kotkaniemi went to the penalty box, and he's gonna have to answer for that one. Stick around.
Dear McDonald's, your breakfast menu, fire. 10s across the board. I could be happy with anything, even though I order the same thing every time. Thanks for not judging me. I'll try something new next time. Maybe.
Get your faves for less. Buy a sausage McMuffin with egg for $2.50. Add any size Sprite for $1.49. Price of participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Navy Federal Credit Union celebrates Military Appreciation Month in May. Whether you're active duty, a veteran, or a military family, we are all united this month to celebrate those who go above and beyond. As a credit union created for the military community, Navy Federal takes special care to ensure that our members feel celebrated and honored every day and every May. So from all of us at Navy Federal, happy Military Appreciation Month. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCAA.
Support for The Fan comes from Paramount Pictures presenting Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Smart people on every side are close to panicking.
Every choice, every mission has led to this. Tom Cruise is back as Ethan Hunt in his most challenging mission yet.
I need you to trust me one last time.
Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. See the movie audiences are raving about in theaters and IMAX now. Don't miss your chance to see the movie of the summer.
A pepperoni pizza for the table. May I suggest trying it with our Pepsi Zero Sugar? It has just the right amount of sweetness to complement all that cheesy, saucy goodness. Simply divine.
Pepsi Zero Sugar? You've really outdone yourself this time. Pizza deserves Pepsi.
Handy Hugo's has a refreshing deal. 2 1-liter Pepsis for just $3. Quench your thirst at Handy Hugo's today.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Now it's Ekblad with it. His shot through and they'll score. On the power play, Tkachuk was in front. There was a deflection, and it's Matthew Tkachuk's goal. His 5th of the postseason, 2nd of this series, in Florida has crawled back into this one. Now trailing 2-1.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. The question really is, and this is not to nitpick the call from Mike Maniscalco, were they crawling back into the game, or was somebody reaching back and giving them a hand to pull them back into the game? I'm going to I'm going to give you the breakdown here, shall we? The Canes were leading 2-0. Backs against the wall. To use a term that is overused, they were staving off elimination. They were ahead 2-0 on the wagon that is the Florida Panthers. At home, Game 5. Backing up their Game 4 with another solid showing, ahead 2-0. 2 goals from their star, Sebastian Aho. They're in the second period. Matter of fact, they're a good amount into the second period. They're nearing the halfway mark, getting close, thinking 30 minutes left, 33 minutes left, I think is what it was. And Jesperi Kotkaniemi finds Evan Rodriguez, and away from the play, I'm gonna obviously holds. We'll call it that.
So what he did, best way to describe this, they're kind of somewhat near the puck. The puck had kind of gotten away from them. He just takes his stick, still 2 hands on it, goes over Rodriguez's head, and then just like wraps him up.
Like old school pirate with like the machete knife where you're like threatening to choke somebody, but a little bit lower, right? So you're like wrapping it around and using it's a weird move. One that the refs are unlikely to miss, and it's unlikely that you can say like that's a bad call because it's just kind of right there. So he goes to the box on what kind of in unison everybody was like, that's a bad penalty to take. You're up 2-0, just don't do it. On the ensuing power play, Matthew Tkachuk scores. 30 seconds later, Rodriguez, the guy who he held, scores. And suddenly that 2-0 lead that everybody was feeling so good about, that, hey, we're almost halfway, 2-0, da-da-ba-ba-ba. It's a tie ball game. Another, 5 minutes later, they score again. Now you're behind. If you don't believe in momentum, I don't know what to tell you, because you felt it move. I'm sure you could feel it through your television screens. All of a sudden, whoosh, they've got it, and the Canes didn't. And it was gifted to them. It's one thing if and we see it in sports all the time, right? The one team has it rolling, the opposing team's star makes a big play, and it's something that you couldn't account for, and the momentum shifts, and it's like, you know what? They earned that, and you tip your cap and you try to get the momentum back on your side. But when your own player gifts it to them, it becomes so much more difficult to cope is the wrong word, but accept. It's tough, and it gets worse the more you think about it, because there were problems last night that I don't think you could have avoided. It's bigger issues, right? Roster issues. Alexander Nikishin getting out of position on a goal allowed. That is a rookie making a rookie mistake. Right? Do you wish it didn't happen? Yes. Is it a teaching opportunity? Absolutely. Do you wish during the previous stoppage in play you called them over and said, hey, make sure you get to the right side of the net? Yes. But it's a rookie making a rookie mistake. You're not going to insulate yourself from them entirely. The guy had played, 30 seconds of NHL hockey prior to that moment? Exaggerating, but not by as much as you think. Jesperi Kotkaniemi is a 7-year veteran.
Drafted one pick after Andrei Svechnikov.
7 years. And I'm not talking this is not, we had a couple years where he played 12 games being called up. He wasn't a black ace in the playoffs. This is 60-plus games appeared in for 7 straight years with 2 different organizations, and he's the one that made the boneheaded play. It's so much more difficult to understand. It's so much more difficult to understand. And we could teach the lessons, right? If you're the motivational speaker, you're going to go speak to a high school hockey team. You can use it and say, you never know which play is going to be the one that decides the outcome of the game. You never know. You have to play every game fully locked in mentally, fully understanding of the game situation, because it might be just a penalty with 13 minutes left in the second period. But it also might be the turning point in the game that takes you from a 2-goal lead to a 3-2 deficit. And would you like for your teammates to bail them out? Yeah. Would you like for the penalty kill to look at KK and go, hey, we got you? Yeah, but it's not that easy when you're playing a team like the Panthers. Matter of fact, against a bad team, you can overcome it. But that's why, the best teams never think that way. Matter of fact, speaking of those motivational speakers on social media, the ones I'm talking about. They wear the boy band mic with the earpiece that comes down in front, and they speak like they're always out of breath. Do you know what? There was one recently, and they used a clip from an Alabama national championship game. 6 minutes left in the game, they're up by 30. And A.J. McCarron and the center were not on the same page. The center, it might have been Landon Dickerson. I don't know who it was. But it's somebody that was going on to the NFL. And I don't know, they got to delay a game or something. And the center and A.J. McCarron started yelling at each other. This was a 30-point blowout with 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And the point that the motivational speaker was making was, situation doesn't matter. Alabama, if you make a mistake, it's a big deal. Right? And if you're furious when you're up 30 in your last game as a college player that a stupid little mistake led to a delay of game that won't matter. Game's over. You won. Right? How you do everything is how you do anything. Or how you do anything is how you do everything. Then the Jesperi Kotkaniemi bad penalty that led to the mistake in the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 5, when you're trying to hold off elimination, may have been a sign that mistake was made in a game where it didn't matter, where the penalty kill went out there and made it okay. I know everybody wants to move on from Kotkaniemi. And I'm not here to say that's incorrect. right? There's the arguments of you should trade him, right? Pair him with 2 first-round picks, send him away for another center. That way, whoever you're sending him to at least has somebody to take that roster spot. There's the argument to buy him out and eat whatever it is, 50% of his cap hit over twice the length of the contract, which comes out to like $800,000 for each of the next 10 years. Like, there's arguments for all of it, and I hear you, and I know many of you just don't want to see his jersey again, and I get you. I need it, and I'm going to search out for it this offseason. I need a hockey evaluator to confirm that. Because I played college football. I talk with quarterbacks all the time. I remember when like Darnold and Baker Mayfield were struggling and going, yeah, I know they're bad and I know everyone wants to move on. There's something there, right? There, like there's talent there, and you may not have seen it at all in that game, and they may have thrown the interception that made you want to rip your hair out, but there's something there. And now look where they are today, right? They're $100 million contract guys. And you don't get rich by letting $100 million contract guys leave. So I'd want to hear that from some people because I don't have that insight into hockey players. I don't have that instinct. I don't have that gut feeling. I never played hockey. But goodness gracious, is it tough to come back from a mistake like that? Just mentally, the fresh start nature, every time you go to the box for the rest of your life, Canes fans are going to be going, oh, this guy again with the hold, even if it's like a bad call, or even this guy with the hold. It's like, no, he's going for roughing. What are you saying hold for? But it's just you can't get that image out of your head because you feel like it cost you a big game.
And it's not just that play. It's been a few seasons of like, all right, we've been waiting. Mm-hmm. This was his 4th year with the Carolina Hurricanes, and he's been below 15 goals back-to-back years. Going into this upcoming season, if he's still under contract with the Carolina Hurricanes, like depending if he gets traded or whatever it might be, he's supposed to be the 5th highest paid player under contract next year for Carolina. 5th highest, 4th highest among forwards. You need more than 12 goals.
And you know the saying that I use from Spider-Man, with great money comes great responsibility, and if you're not living up to your responsibilities, you have to answer for that.
And the playoff production just isn't there either. Mm-hmm. He has 3 goals in, 54, 55 playoff games for the Carolina Hurricanes? He has 3 goals.
And it would be one thing if you, like, again, the hockey people I trust, if they were giving me the Aho argument. When I get mad that Aho's not scoring, and everybody that I trust is going, well, actually, he had a great game, and he probably saved 2 goals, and he won all these faceoffs. When you say Kotkaniemi doesn't have a good game, everybody just kind of goes like, So, oh, your silence says everything. Thank you. No will actually on that one, huh?
It's okay. So, at least Aho, he's going to play on a penalty kill. He's going to lock down the other team's top guy. Are you getting that from Jesperi?
There were a couple times he was on a penalty or a power play, and I was going,
Yeah.
But again, like there was the only reason I'm saying like I want to hear it and I'm going to do the research this offseason and talk to people is because there were some really bad Darnold games in there too. But I was still going like, I don't know, you put his 10 best throws up against anybody, the 10 like there was something there. And then there are also quarterbacks where everybody else believes in them and I go absolutely not. So there's difference there. I just think it's an offseason where particularly at the center position because they don't grow on trees. And maybe they've done this because you mentioned he's been here now for darn near half decade. You don't move on if there's a chance because there's not a lot out there, right? Especially if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, you got to make other moves. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, and you can't take that penalty.
No, you can't.
Can't do it.
Just simply can't do it.
Can't do it.
So, again, 54 playoff games over 4 seasons with the Carolina Hurricanes. 3 goals, 11 assists, minus 10. He's 47.9% in the faceoff circle.
And he's goal-less the last 2 postseasons?
Yeah, it's literally been since all 3 of his goals came in 2 games in the second round against New Jersey 2 years ago.
Gosh, I won't do it because takes like, smarter go back and see Twitter reaction after the second game where he has all those points. I bet you there was some real KK love going on there. Some real Jesperi love after goals in back-to-back games. The good old days. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We'll hit the starting 5 coming up next, but first, Dennis Cox has something he'd like to tell you.
Hey, folks, Dennis Cox here for Loan Pronto. Folks, you sitting there at home, maybe you're maxed out on your credit cards, maybe you're struggling with high-interest debt? You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. It's a massive turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity, it's yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Their service, it's off the charts. Call now. Get the conversation started. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Get debt relief now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. On approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, goes to the starting five next, and we will start with giving somebody their flowers. That is very, very deserving. Stick around.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
If a person is on a date, is it proper protocol that if one person gets their food first, they have to wait for the other person?
Yes.
I tend
because
to
if
agree.
you're on a date, you're trying to make a good impression. You don't want it to be that you're selfish and you're not considerate of the other person. Because that's what you're doing if you eat before their food gets there.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Keith Urban's High and Alive World Tour. Saturday, May 31st at Coastal Credit Union Music Park, Raleigh. A night of hits with special guests Chase Matthew, Alana Springsteen, and Carly Scott Collins. It's going to be a party you don't want to miss. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Keith Urban, part of the Mattress Warehouse Concert Series.
Welcome to Take 5 Oil Change.
Hey, how long will this take?
Just 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Get out. That's super fast. Super fast like an F1 pit stop.
Sir.
Huh?
We're all done. I even topped off your fluid and checked your tires.
But I was so close to the finish line.
Get in and out fast with Take 5, the stay-in-your-car 10-minute oil change. And check out the movie F1 starring Brad Pitt, only in theaters June 27th. This film is not yet rated.
Two guys drove to work. Neither guy wore a seatbelt. One guy got a ticket. One guy didn't. The same two guys drove home. One guy wore a seatbelt. One guy didn't. One guy made it home. The guy not wearing his seatbelt didn't. Don't risk it. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
Progressive knows when you're in your RV, you're already on vacation. That's when you become Vacation You, who just camped where there's absolutely no shade. Even though regular you burns easily. In fact, Vacation You burns too, but is too stubborn to admit it, which is why regular you gets in trouble at the dermatologist, because Vacation You doesn't do doctors. So bundle your RV with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
NASCAR on Prime lights up Music City.
Here we go, Nashville. See what you got here.
Who's got what it takes to tackle the concrete at Nashville Superspeedway and walk away with NASCAR's coolest trophy?
Let's freaking go!
Stream the NASCAR Cup Series at Nashville Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, where music meets motorsports.
Chasing you up, chasing you up.
Only on Prime.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Workers' comp can be tricky, but my law firm will be on top of all the complicated paperwork and sneaky deadlines so that all of your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. If you've been hurt on the job, I'm on top of it. Contact us at ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm WRL meteorologist Mike May. Showers and storms will be around for the evening commute, lasting through the overnight. Some this evening could be severe, 65 the low. A greater likelihood of strong to severe storms tomorrow afternoon and early evening with the next cold front, the high at 81.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 5 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones this afternoon up 117 points at the closing bell to 42,215.
It's 5 o'clock. Time to serve up the biggest sports stories of the day. Here comes your starting five.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Top of the hour. We'll reset the news. The Canes lost last night. Season ends. Florida Panthers go to their third straight Stanley Cup Finals. Canes now get a cold glass of water to the face about the offseason and who stays and who goes. And because of that, we're gonna use the starting five to help sort out our thoughts. Shall we? Let's start with number 5.
Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Teams win the draw. Back chance, will they score? Traffic out front, but Chatfield was ready to let it go. And the Canes jump out to an early lead on a Category 5. It's 1-0 Carolina.
Number 5 is number 5. Jalen Chatfield, number 5 in your playbooks. Somewhere probably higher than that in your hearts. And we're using that to kind of shoehorn in the 5 reference here, but I'm throwing Sean Walker's absence also, because neither of them played in this game. Chatfield didn't play in the series, going back to Game 5 against the Caps. There's, sayings in life. You don't know what you got till it's gone. I think Chatfield, Walker, and Slavin, even as hyped up as Slavin is, I think their importance is underrated, those 3 guys. Right? I think there's an appreciation for them, and I think, like, Canes fandom, the Caniacs appreciate them more than they might be appreciated on other teams, but there's still an importance level that isn't quite recognized. And you saw it. We had the conversation earlier today, right? Brent Burns, and we'll see if he returns next year. But he benefits so much from playing with Jacob Slavin. Dmitry Orlov. Let me ask you this question. Do you think Dmitry Orlov became a significantly worse defensive player between the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs and the Eastern Conference Finals? Or do you think he was kind of always the player that he's been, or at least that he has been, the last 6 months? But we just didn't notice some of the flaws because he was paired so often with Jalen Chatfield, who was out there using his speed, using his never-ending energy to cover for Dmitry Orlov. I mean, I can go with some stats here, maybe I'm a glutton for punishment. I saw these stats and I immediately texted them to myself. It's a tweet from Fantastic Stats. During the Eastern Conference Finals, Orlov averaged 20 minutes and 51 seconds per game on the ice. He had 6 giveaways, 0 takeaways. 5 of his giveaways were in the defensive zone. The expected goals differential with him on ice in the series was -11. That's 2.41 per game minus when he's on the ice. And so that's like the analytics look at things. Now I'm going to give you the exact opposite, right? I'm going to give you the layman's view on it, right? If that's the calculator's view on it, now I'm going to give you the casual fan view on it. Somebody I know who is not a diehard hockey fan, right? But is in the area, gets caught up in the postseason and watches all the games and cheers, probably even goes to a game or two. They texted me, let me find it. Let me find it. There, we're close. I'm almost there. I'm scrolling up. There you go. Got this text. They start with I don't know much, right? It's the layman. I don't know much, but does Orlov stink? He seems to be in there every time something bad happens. If you just kind of start watching every play recently, there is some of that. And Jesperi, I think it's a different argument for him because he does a lot of other things, special teams, power play, handles the puck a lot more. Walker's covering for him. You know, it's easier for a Florida Panthers fan to look at Game 4 and say, Sam Reinhart didn't play, and Reinhart is a first-line winger. And everybody goes, oh, yeah, that probably impacted him, a first-line winger. That's important. It's more difficult to go, one guy from our second and third defensive pairings missed, and you don't realize how important that is and have everybody kind of go with it, right? That's where most people go, well, everybody's banged up at this point. Nobody's 100%. It's like, no, you don't understand. These guys are not only doing their job, they're doing parts of other people's jobs. So I want to give their flowers, right? You don't know what you got till it's gone. When they were out of the lineup, it was noticeable. Very much so. And in a game that close like Game 5, right, where any one thing could have been the difference, right? Maybe Chatfield's on the kill after the Kotkaniemi penalty. And we're not sitting here yelling about Kotkaniemi taking a dumb penalty and giving up the goal because Chatfield poked it away before Tkachuk could get there. Whole game changes. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, ifs, all that. Speaking of, number 5 gets to number 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, all together.
Burns is shot out in front. Oh, scores on the power play. Carolina has even this game at 1. A huge power play goal right when they needed it.
Going from number 5 to number 4 is going from 5-on-5 to 5-on-4. Special teams. Canes were 0 for 6 on the power play. They also gave up a crucial goal on their penalty kill, which we've discussed a few times. That kind of sparked Florida onto their run. Dennis, I'm going to ask you this. Right?
Hit me.
I don't know why I announce my questions to you so often.
You should, though.
I am going to ask you this.
Make sure I'm prepared.
There is a laundry list of offseason to do, right? You got to get this, you got to get that, you got to get this negotiated. You might trade for that. The draft, right? It's all on the to-do list. There is a subset of fans that I hear from that desperately want the power play coach based on how the power play the past couple of postseasons to kind of be revamped, right? The how they coach special teams to be revamped, new blood, fresh eyes, all of those things. Is it that, or is it the power play last night? I'm just going to say it. Frustrating as all get out, right? And it's been frustrating as all get out multiple times this year. It's not like that was a one weird, well, I had an off day.
And they had some looks.
Is it Jimmy's and Joe's or X's and O's, I guess is what I'm getting at. Is it the dudes out there on the power play, or is it what they're being asked to do and how they're being asked to play on the power play?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think there's a lack. I think it's because of the lack of scoring depth on the team. Is that you don't have a second unit of 5 guys that you can run out there that's a consistent threat equal to your top unit. I think it puts a little bit more stress on that first power play unit. Because, be honest, if you go look at that second power play unit, at times we had Kotkaniemi, Mark Jankowski, Scott Morrow playing on that second power play unit. And there just isn't a whole lot of guys that can create out there. And I think it's also the lack of size up front, at least among their top skill guys. Like, who's the 6'2", 210-pound guy that's going to stand there in front of the net and not going to get moved off his spot? They don't have that guy.
There's a few times a game where I feel like I see Aho and Jarvis going to the bench during a power play, and I'm going, already? They're like that, because I'm thinking like they want it, but then you realize real quickly oh, they're going to go right back out 20 seconds. Like, they're getting them a break to get them almost 2 shifts in the power play. It's the opposite of what I'm saying, what I'm worried about, right? I'm worried, like, oh, man, they weren't out there that long. They need to be out. They need to be out there so much that they're, going to cycle through twice.
I mean, they're 23.1%, which is a pretty solid power play unit
in the postseason. But right, with expectations being higher, I believe that's 4th out of the 4 teams that were in the conference finals. So
yeah, very good. I mean, Florida's is 23.2, so it's literally a 10th of a percent.
But they had to go against Carolina's kill, which at times actually may have boosted their. Never mind.
And got to go against Florida's kill, which was actually slightly better than Carolina's in the postseason.
It's special teams have to be better. Call it what it is. I also think a lot of it is 5-on-5. Correct it. Oh man, I need to. I see these stats during the game, and I want to go double check them, and I forget. Was Roslovic the most 5-on-5 points this year? Or 5-on-5. There's something that he led in 5-on-5, and
maybe in 5-on-5 goals. Maybe,
and then he's not even active in the like. It was a weird season from that kind of perspective. But I'll leave number 4 at this. Special teams have to be better. You might be able to overcome it against a not great team. Against the Florida Panthers, right? They call it the advantage for a reason. When you get the man advantage, you need to use it at a decent clip. Can't be 0 for 6. That's number 4. Let's hit number 3.
Now a turnover. Here comes Aho on a break. Shoots, he scores! Carolina strikes first. It's 1-0, and the Canes off to an incredibly hot start.
That's how it started. You know how it ended? It ended with one of the worst things in team sports. It ended with another team taking trophy pictures in your home arena. The Panthers' 3rd straight run to the Stanley Cup Finals, which is annoying, and it stinks, and it's not fun. You don't have to like it. But in a weird way, it is vindicating or confirming some of the concerns that people have for the way that Rod Brind'Amour runs his club. As you will hear in this interaction between Rod Brind'Amour and the media in the post-game press conference.
You've had unwavering belief in the way you guys play and the style of game. With the results being what they are over the last few years after successful first couple rounds, and it ends up this way again, do you think at all it requires some level of change in terms of the way you guys play throughout an entire season and into the playoffs?
Like what? What do you recommend?
I just mean style of play. I'm not making recommendations.
That's how do you think they play? They're the standard now. And I see out, in, forecheck, hard, wait for your chance, try to capitalize. I mean, it's hard hockey. If anything, we got to figure out how to get that much to our game. But that's the standard right there. And I mean, I feel like that's been our game for a long time. They've kind of picked it up the last couple of years and made it that much better. So that's what we got to get.
I mean, that's a mic drop moment for Rod, but it's something we've been saying, which is if you complain about the Canes system because they can't beat the Panthers, your logic is circular, right? You never get home. And what I mean by that is they're playing a very similar system. A lot of what the Canes try to do is what the Panthers do very well. And I don't think it's a coincidence that those two teams ended up in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I don't think it's a coincidence that of the last 3 years, 5 of the 6 Eastern Conference Finals teams were Canes and Panthers. That's not a coincidence. If you play that way and you do it right, it wins. So to look at the Rod Brind'Amour way and say, oh, that way can't win in the postseason, just as it lost to a team that does the same things and wins in the postseason, you just need to be better. Right? And that might not be as fun to say. Right? It might be the materials. You just got to be better rather than be different. And that's less fun. Because saying, like, hey, you just have to be better, it feels like you're insulting people. Like, you're not good enough. If you say the system can't work, it feels like you're saying, like, well, you just have a bad idea. It might be the Jimmies and Joes. It might be, if you look at the Panthers and you look at the Canes rosters and you go 1 for 1 all the way down, the Panthers just had more. That doesn't excuse games 1, 2, and 3. But when you watch games 4 and 5, specifically 5, it might just be not the system, but who's running it. And that might not be very fun to say. It wasn't fun for me to say just now. Ugh, let's move on.
People matter.
There's a reason why you draft players and not ideas. With the second pick, we will be drafting more pressure from our blue line mentally. Like,
you know what? I'm drafting Superman. He's not going to get stopped.
There you go. Is he available? I'll trade up.
Might be under contract. I'm not sure.
Can we afford him? That's number 3. Let's hit number 2.
Just the two of us. It's dropped back here for Aho. He scores! He got the shot through. Bobrovsky couldn't stop it. And it's 2-0 Carolina. Oh, he put enough mustard on it. And it's 2-0.
Sebastian Aho. My personal mystery, my conundrum. That first period was as close. Like, I'm being selfish here. I'm being greedy. I'm being like spoiled. I'm Veruca Salt from Willy Wonka. I want it now. That first period for Sebastian Aho is as close to the ideal Sebastian Aho in my brain. I understand he does a lot of other things well. I understand he is a fantastic two-way hockey player. He does the little things. He back checks. He does it all. The ideal Aho in my brain is 15% more angry and 15% more selfish. And the first period was that. He had a look in his eye that we don't often see. He had a attitude about him that we don't often see. And he had 2 goals on 2 shots. And he had an air of, I'm the baddest dude in the room. Was he the baddest dude in the room? We can debate that, right? Panthers got some good players, right? They've got some guys with some hardware. I'm not knocking them. I'm not evaluating them. What I am saying is, I don't know if you could have told Sebastian Aho if anybody, you name him, walked into the room that he wasn't the baddest dude in the room. And that was awesome to see. And if he can find how to flip that switch more often, he will level up, and I think he will finally get mentioned in the conversations that I think he deserves to get mentioned in. Right, we talked about how difficult it is for him to earn the recognition that he deserves because he doesn't score goals like the other top forwards in the league. And you know, the back of the trading card statistics will always matter in sports. You're not going to win MVP of the NBA if you don't score, right? You're not going to have like a 13-point scorer win the MVP regardless of how many steals and blocks you get. Because that's not how it works. You're not going to win the Norris Trophy, which goes to the best defenseman, without scoring like 30 goals. Does that make sense? No, but it's just the way it is.
The impressive thing about both those goals, there were neutral zone turnovers. That Aho and the second one also, Jarvis was part of the turnover as well. Like, it was them being responsible defensively that led to the scoring chances. It's exactly what Florida did to them in games 1 and 2.
And you're right. But to me, how quickly he went from securing the puck or Jarvis securing the puck into assassin mode is what I was so excited about. Because we see him force turnovers. We see him get takeaways. We see him intercept passes. We see him get deflections. And that's awesome, and we get excited for it. But that wasn't enough in the first period last night. When he got the turnover, when Jarvis got the turnover, it's not enough until it's in the back of the net. That's what was so good for me. That's why I was so excited. That's why the killer instinct was it was there. It was there. It It was one of my favorite Sebastian Aho viewing experiences. And it was in arguably the biggest game, one of the top 3 or 4 of his career. Like just the most like backs against the wall Eastern Conference Finals, had already won a game. He had never been that far in the postseason, had never made it to a Game 5 in the Eastern Conference Finals or beyond. And to start the game that way, I went, we're on to something here. Now I just need to see that more often. From now on, that's how you play. That's number 2. Let's hit number 1.
Go on! Florida looking to get it out. Forsling bounce it. Now it comes out in front. Holding shoot. He scores! Seth Jarvis with the turnover. And Carolina has tied it at 3.
Here's the deal. The Canes won an Eastern Conference Finals game. When we were there outside of the Lenovo Center yesterday, we did the entire show from the plaza. We were looking at 9 flags hanging on the outside of the Lenovo Center. That means they won 9 postseason games. They had not won that many since 2006. That Eastern Conference Finals victory, just the one game, even though they lost 4-1, is important. It's important. It obviously ended the streak, and those jokes are done, and you're going to be able to move on. And next year, when you get back, it'll be a different vibe. It is important. That one Eastern Conference Finals win is important. And when you look back in history, I don't know if they'll remember it as important, but it is. For more details on last night's loss, the Game 5 loss that sealed it, sealed their fate, sent them to the offseason. Here's 2 minutes of gold with our very own Adam Gold.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and I've got 2 minutes for 2 goals and 2 minutes that led to Carolina's second Eastern Conference Finals loss to the Florida Panthers, and it's all brought to us by Parkway Sleep Health Centers for better sleep. The 2 goals came early. Carolina needed a fast start, and they got it from their best player.
Now a turnover. Here comes Aho on a break. Shoots, he scores! Carolina strikes first. It's 1-0, and the Canes off to an incredibly hot start. Carolina can clear. It's dropped back here for Aho. He scores! He got the shot through. Bobrovsky couldn't stop it, and it's 2-0 Carolina. Oh, he put enough mustard on it, and it's 2-0.
A 2-0 lead after 1, and it was great. It was going beautifully. Carolina had a power play with about 5 minutes into the second period. They didn't score, but it looked great until Jesperi Kotkaniemi took an unnecessary offensive zone penalty, and don't you know?
Now it's Ekblad with it. His shot through, and they'll score. On the power play, Tkachuk was in front. There was a deflection, and it's Matthew Tkachuk's goal, his 5th of the postseason, 2nd of this series, in Florida has crawled back into this one, now trailing 2-1.
That goal, 30 seconds later, was an Evan Rodriguez goal. 4 minutes later was an Anton Lundell goal, and suddenly Carolina was swimming upstream. Yes, they tied it in the third period on a beautiful Seth Jarvis goal, but they gave that goal back when Carter Verhaeghe snuck in the back door and took a pass from Alexander Barkov. And then, with about 3 minutes left in the game, Sam Bennett takes an offensive zone penalty. What are you doing, Sam? But thank you. Carolina had chances, couldn't get one in, and then Bennett comes out of the box and ices it.
And there's 2 seconds left in the power play. Barkov gets to it. It'll be knocked down. Bennett can have an empty net. He's going to hustle out in front, and he scores. Sam Bennett out of the box, had a gaping net, took it in the corner, and it's 5-3 Florida with 53.4 seconds left here in Game 5.
It was a really good year with a disappointing ending because it started so well last night. But ultimately, the Hurricanes fall to the Florida Panthers for the second time in 3 years. Parkway Sleep Health Center, sound sleep, sound health. I need some sound sleep. It's been a great year. We'll see everybody next season as the Hurricanes pursue another Stanley Cup.
Next season starts today, Adam Gold. Off season? There's no off season. If you win the cup, you can celebrate for a week. I'll give you that. And other than that, day after the parade, we're back to it. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We need some numbers game contestants, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Because we have a $25 Sharkies gift card that needs to go to a winner. Sharkies with back-to-back-to-back-to-back wins for best wings in the Triangle, voted best sports bar, quite possibly the best neighborhood bar in the world. I'm talking Sharkies. If you want to win the gift card, if you want to win the numbers game, you have to play the man in the arena. Call in now, 919-860-5326. That's 919-860-5326 to play the numbers game, which is coming up next. Stick around.
Westwood One Sports presents this special tennis update. Roland Garros farewell today to Richard Gasquet, a France native who played his first French Open at age 16. He's now 38, sent into retirement by top seed Yannick Sinner, who lost only 7 games. Gael Monfils, another 38-year-old Frenchman, he rallied from 2 sets down in the opening round, now facing Jack Draper, the Canadian, who's seeded 5th. Draper leads 2-1. Novak Djokovic won his match, so did Alex Zverev. An American Ethan Quinn won a 5-setter. The Brit Cam Norrie, who had the first-round upset of Daniil Medvedev, won again. 9th-seeded Alex de Minaur blew a 2-set lead, was upset by Russia's Alexander Bublik. Is the next great player João Fonseca, only 18 years old. The Brazilian won easily into the 3rd round. American women advancing include Jess Pegula, Coco Gauff, Madison Keys, Haley Baptiste, and Sophia Kenin, who beat Victoria Azarenka. John Stanshauer, Westwood One Sports.
Saving for retirement was tough enough for us.
Yes, and navigating markets can be challenging at times.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we take a disciplined approach with your investments.
Tell us more about that.
We take an active approach to money management, positioning your portfolio for opportunities we see ahead.
So all your clients get the same portfolio?
No, we tailor your portfolio to your individual goals and needs.
What about communication? We don't like being left in the dark.
We check in regularly to keep you informed on the markets and your portfolio.
Which means you'll help us stay on track.
Yes, our goal is your comfortable retirement. And as a fiduciary, we always put your interests first, because we do better when you do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
And we're back talking all things connectivity with Spectrum customers Kev and Melissa. So tell us, how long have you been with Spectrum and how important is a reliable internet connection?
We've been Spectrum customers since we moved 12 years ago. The first thing we did is sign up for Spectrum Internet.
You get a lease, you get it Wi-Fi.
Yes,
immediately.
We need that. We had Spectrum Wi-Fi before our couch got here.
That's true. That's a true story.
I'll sleep on the floor, but I won't go to bed with no internet.
You heard it here. Switch to Spectrum now.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time to play the numbers game. The contestants for today, Edward and Wendell and Austin and Wake Forest. They will be battling it out through jersey numbers for a $25 Sharkies gift card. Sharkies with back-to-back-to-back-to-back wins for best wings in the Triangle. That's supposed to be 4 backs. Sometimes I think I do like... I get BANANANANANAS. Like I just go to, and sometimes I think I cut it short. It's back-to-back-to-back-to-back wins for best wings in the Triangle.
Tommy Mansky would be proud.
Hey, you're darn right. Throwing it in his
If you
trash
know,
can.
you know.
As always, we ask a question. We see, I ask the same question to both contestants. Dennis gets to pick his answer, pick his favorite answer, and that person gets to go first. Here's what we'll ask for today. and we'll start with Edward and Wendell. Ed, are you there?
Yes.
All right, we have Edward or Ed or Eddie, and we have Austin. So I'll ask you this. Who is the favorite person that shares your first name? Who is the most famous, another famous Ed or Eddie or Edward? When you think of your name and you think of famous people, where do you go?
This is hard. I think I'll probably go Blackbeard or King Edward. I don't know. Probably Blackbeard.
Edward Blackbeard?
Yeah.
All right.
His real name's Blackbeard.
Okay. You got that one, Dennis? All right. He's locked in. Austin and Wake Forest, we go to the same question to you. Who's your favorite Austin out there? Who when you think of your name, is the one that pops into your brain?
I don't have any royalty in my answer, but I think I'm going to go with Tavon Austin, the old punt returner on the Rams. When I first started watching football, I love watching him play.
Shout out to Maryland high school football recruits from the class of 2009. It's about all me and Tavon Austin have in common. Dennis, which is your favorite answer? Edward Blackbeard or Tavon Austin?
This is actually kind of a tough one. The Edward Blackbeard's really good. I mean, if you're going to go Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin might be the one actually if you're going to go to, if you're going to tie in a name. This is a tough one. I'm going to go Edward Blackbeard on this one, though.
All right. So Edward and Wendell gets to go first. Austin, Wake Forest, stay on the line. You'll have your chance. Not my best question, but we're working with it. Edward and Wendell, are you there, and are you ready to pick a category?
Yes.
All right. The categories are NFL, F is for. Basically, that means their first name starts with the letter F. We have NFL players who are at least 35 and active, so they're players that are still active and at least 35 years old. NBA players that were Chris Paul's teammate at some point in time, sometime or another. Or NHL Hurricanes only. Those are the options. Did I say something wrong there, Dennis? You're okay. NHL Hurricanes only. Sometimes I misspeak and don't even notice. So he looked at me quizzically, and I thought I was wrong. NHL Hurricanes only is the final category. Which do you like, Edward?
Hurricanes.
All right, we're going NHL Hurricanes only.
Yep.
Oh, I thought you were You know what, Edward? I'm gonna have to apologize here. I thought Dennis was updating the list as we spoke.
Cane season's over, so we might have to give that one a rest for a day.
All right, so we don't have the list. So we're back to the three other categories: NFL players whose first name starts with F, NFL players who are at least 35 and still active, or NBA Chris Paul's teammates.
I'll probably do 35 and active.
Okay. Just for the record, if you don't mind me asking, if you don't want to share it, that's fine. How old are you?
I'm about to turn 12.
About to turn 12. So, yeah, some of these athletes have been professional athletes for as long as you've been alive.
Like their whole playing careers.
Yeah,
He's got this.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, the way this works, I'll give you the team and the player. You give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. 30 seconds on the clock. One pass if you need it. Any questions before we get started?
No.
All right. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Aaron Rodgers, New York Jets.
Number 12.
Incorrect. Joe Flacco, Baltimore Ravens.
14.
Incorrect. Aaron Rodgers, New York Jets.
10.
Incorrect. Joe Flacco, Baltimore Ravens.
12.
Incorrect. Aaron Rodgers, New York Jets.
Pass.
Matt Stafford, LA Rams.
12.
Incorrect. Joe Flacco, Baltimore Ravens.
13.
Incorrect. Aaron Rodgers, New York Jets.
11. Okay.
I like that you tried 12 for all of them. We were looking for single-digit numbers. Aaron Rodgers with the Jets wore number 8. The 12 comes from his Packers years. Flacco with the Ravens wore number 5. But he's been off the Ravens for a while. He may have been a Raven when you were like 5 years old. And then Matt Stafford with the Rams wears number 9. Unfortunately, you didn't get any, but by way of Edward Blackbeard, you did go first, and a tie goes to whoever goes first. So stay on the line. We'll see if it holds up. That brings us to Austin and Wake Forest. Austin, are you there?
I am.
All right. The categories remaining for you to choose from are NFL players whose first name starts with F, or NBA players, Chris Paul's all-time teammates.
I'll go NBA with Chris Paul.
All right. All these players have played with Chris Paul at some point or another. I will give you the team and the player. You can give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. 30 seconds on the clock, 1 pass if you need it. Any questions before we get started?
Nope.
All right, you need at least 1 for the win, and your time will start when you hear the horn. Victor Wembanyama, San Antonio Spurs.
1.
Correct. Klay Thompson, Golden State Warriors.
11.
Correct. J.J. Redick, Los Angeles Clippers.
4.
Correct. DeAndre Ayton, Phoenix Suns.
22.
Correct. Emeka Okafor, New Orleans Hornets.
13.
Incorrect. Emeka Okafor, New Orleans Hornets.
7.
Incorrect. Emeka Okafor, New Orleans Hornets.
21.
Incorrect. Emeka Okafor, New Orleans Hornets. Didn't know Emeka Okafor, did you?
I did not.
All right. It happens to the best of us. You got 4 smooth. You were cranking. You were cruising, I should say. Emeka Okafor, he's a UConn legend. 2nd overall pick, I think. Maybe behind Yao. Something along those lines. Am I making that up? He wore number 50 with the Hornets, for those of you playing at home.
Okay.
But you are still the winner. Congratulations. You get the Sharkies gift card.
All right, thank you.
All right. Go ahead and stay on the line, and Dennis has some info he'll grab from you to make sure you get your prize.
He was cooking those first 4. I was like, okay.
I did, as I kind of read ahead, like, while I'm reading, just to see what's coming up. It is like very young player still active, player who's still famous now, J.J. Redick, because he's the coach of the Lakers and he's famous. Very, very young player. And then Emeka Okafor, it's like, Emeka was a beast, by the way, like an unbelievable player, rebounding machine, but feels like it's been a while since we've had many conversations that include Emeka Okafor. That one's tough. Also, along the lines, the previous caller, Edward, who finished in 2nd, out of 2, but we don't got to mention that. Joe Flacco with the Ravens being number 5. He played at Delaware. I played at Delaware. I played a couple years after he did. He wore number 5. So when I was there, number 5, right, he was first-round pick, starting for the Ravens. All of the Delaware jerseys, and he didn't get paid for this because it was pre-NIL, were number 5 that, like, the bookstore sold. One of my buddies, a wide receiver, came in and was, like, demanding. He was a big recruit, so he got some sway. Number 5. He wanted to be number 5. And he I think he may have even made up a story about how he wore it in high school. I know he didn't. He wore number 8. But he was number 5. And once he got it, once they let him wear it, it was, why do you want number 5 so bad? He was like, because I know every jersey in that stadium is going to be number 5, and I'm going to pretend they're mine. And it was like, he's going to build my confidence. I'm going to think everybody's there to support me, and it was kind of genius. So I'll never forget that Joe Flacco wears 5 whenever he can, although he's been on a billion different teams and worn a billion different uniforms since then. But when he was a first-round pick, when he was winning Super Bowl, when he was making $100 million, Cinco, Joe Flacco. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Again, that was the numbers game. We do that every day. We'll have another Sharkies gift card for tomorrow. When we come back, final thoughts for today on the Canes' Game 5 loss, the season ending, the Eastern Conference Finals being clinched by the Florida Panthers. There is something about this game that stood out to me in a very obvious way that I'll illustrate for you coming up next. Stick around.
Move your sports day forward.
In a league dripping with tradition, the NHL's hottest coach right now, Paul Maurice, refuses to shake the hands of players because he wasn't on the ice. Come on, dude. Show them just a little teeny bit of respect. Imagine if you had seen 2 youth coaches not shaking hands. Parents had come out of the stands.
Get set up. Join Next Up with Paul Ihander. Mornings at 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Are you ready for a global summer showdown? Thursday, June 19th at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Football legends collide at the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. Inter Miami and FC Porto. Lionel Messi and Jordi Alba taking on Diogo Costa and Rodrigo Mora. Don't miss your chance to be part of history. Grab your tickets now at FIFA.com/tickets.
Maxed out on credit cards? Struggling with high interest debt? You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated the kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-171 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in North Carolina. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. T&Cs apply. Available in app only.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time. Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes Dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned, Cajun-fried, whole breast tenderloin fillets. Choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles' legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
15 seconds left. Svechnikov to it. Svechnikov back for Gostisbehere. Got to shoot. Lets it go off of the glass. As that high shot is there. 5 seconds left. Back to Gostisbehere. Teed up for Burns. He'll miss the net. And the clock hits 0 on the Carolina Hurricanes season. The Florida Panthers win Game 5. And they'll eliminate the Carolina Hurricanes in the Eastern Conference Final with a 5-3 victory here tonight.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. All right, everybody. I'm just going to say it. The Canes were ahead of schedule this year. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They won a game in the Eastern Conference Finals. I understand the way the series went was a bummer, and especially those first 3 games, and I get it, but they weren't supposed to be here. This is the way I look at it. This is the way I believe the timeline went. Starting when Rod Brindamore took over, right? So you're going back 7 seasons. There was an immediate build by any means necessary, right? The timeline for then was you just have to get better. One foot in front of the other. From where they were starting, the mountaintop seemed so high it was behind clouds. You didn't know how high it was. So it was just one step in front of the other. And they rushed that with some overachieving seasons, and they became crazy consistent. Starting about 3 or 4 years ago, I believe they started building towards last year, right? Building towards the season that ended with the second-round loss to the Rangers. That was the all-in year. Thus, they made the move, right? Gensel at the deadline, right? They did some things that they weren't used to doing, and that was the year to go all in. Then they lost to the Rangers in the second round. And that's a big disappointment, right? That series loss, I don't think we were coming on the next day going like, what do you think? Was it good enough? No, we were disappointed with it. So, after building up to that season and underwhelming, I believe it's not like they set out to take a step back, but they recognized the roster was getting a little long in the tooth, the roster was getting a little expensive, and they had to reset some cap things, and they looked at some when deals were expiring, and they decided that maybe a step back for this year was their only way forward. And it really was the first time since Rod Brindamore took over where the goal wasn't to be better than the year before, although that's always the goal. The kind of personnel decisions weren't always made with that in mind. So, coming into this year, step back, retool. They weren't jumping back. They weren't going back to the starting line. They weren't burning it down. It wasn't a knockdown rebuild. It was a step back and a retool, and they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals anyway. And I actually think they were building towards next year, because if you look at when some of their bigger expiring contracts were coming off, next year is the year that makes more sense. And because of that, I just this is back of the napkin math, right? This is not the most exciting stuff in the world. But I wanted to do a comparison between certain aspects of the Canes and certain aspects of the Florida Panthers after watching the series. I'm going to list for you just players in the core, not every player that's appeared, but just players in the core for the Carolina Hurricanes that are under the age of 26. Okay? These are, when I read these players, you're going to hear ones that played big roles in the postseason. 21-year-olds, Logan Stankoven, Jackson Blake. 22-year-olds, Scott Morrow, Seth Jarvis. 23-year-olds, Alexander Nikishin. 24-year-olds, Andrei Svechnikov. 25-year-olds, Pyotr Kochetkov. Those are all players that are under 26 years old. Aho, 27-year-old. Chatfield, 28 years old. Do you know how many players? Pretend I didn't say Aho Chatfield there. Do you know how many players, if you go to Pro Hockey Reference right now and you look up the Florida Panthers roster and you sort by age, do you know how many are under the age of 26?
Not many.
2.
Yeah, that's not many.
2. Tell me that, now that you're aware of that, tell me that series didn't look like a bunch of 28-plus-year-olds against a handful of 24, 22, 21-year-olds. And that's not to say that the 28-year-olds aren't also talented, but it's different. Anybody that, if you are right now listening to this and you are over the age of 28, think about yourself at 28 versus yourself at 21. You may have been like, you know what, I'm a little bit quicker at 21. My muscles recovered a little bit quicker at 21. Although 28's not exactly 50.
No, feeling pretty good then.
But just the knowledge, right? The big picture, you're better at life in a lot of ways with those 7-8 years of extra. The Panthers they've got some dudes that have lived some lives. You can't tell me. I mean, just we'll even knock it down, right? The Panthers had 2 players under 26. If we go just Canes under 23 or younger, Stankoven, Blake, Morrow, Jarvis, Nikishin. They played big roles in games 4 and games 5. So you don't depend on guys. At least coaches do everything they possibly can to depend on as few of those aged players as possible if you're going into a season where you're all in to win the cup. Right? If the expectation is sent from the ownership to the front office to the coaching staff that this is a year that is cup or bust, guess what the coach is saying? all right, well, we got to replace all these 22-year-olds because if you want me to deliver on what you're promising, like what you are asking, if you want me to deliver a cup, I mean, we might have one or two of these young guys who are wizened beyond their years, but we can't have, a third of our skaters 24 or younger. The jokes that have been made by Seth Jarvis in the last 48 hours, because everybody was being asked about the young guys, and Jarvis was in the veteran category being asked about Nikishin and Morrow and Stankoven. And the young guys and the jokes, Jarvis is going, what do you guys think I am, 40? Nikishin's older than I am. Like, those jokes are only funny because they're true. Seth Jarvis, Svech, Aho, these are the vets in a lot of ways. Now, they have legit vets, don't get me wrong. It's not like Stahl doesn't exist. But you're looking to Jarvis. I'm like, what are you doing to help out these young guys? And he's going, the young guy is half a year older than I am. It happens in sports where when you collect a nice group of young talent and they play, they might have to take some lumps. They might have to get beat up by a team like the Florida Panthers. But if you learn the lessons that you're supposed to learn the hard way, you come back the next year with a little bit more understanding of what it's going to be like and a little bit more connection and a little bit more comfort and a little bit more, and you do it again and you do it again until eventually you're playing another team and you're all 28 and they've got a bunch of young guys and you're teaching them the lessons.
That's the thing about the Florida roster. When you talk about those guys like Barkov, Forsling, and some of these other guys, Bennett, those guys have been through it already, and they grew together. Think about 4 years ago, they were the President's Cup champions. This is before they actually got Paul Maurice and they decided to trade for Matthew Tkachuk. They actually altered some of their core, but Barkov and some of these other guys were part of that team. And other guys that they brought in, like Seth Jones, he's 30 years old, going through all the stuff that he's been through in his career to get to this point and learning how to win. That's what this Florida team has done. And you mentioned all the young guys for Carolina. They're going through that process right now that Florida was going through 4 years ago.
There's some lessons that the Florida Panthers, with their play, taught some of the young guys for the Canes this past 2 weeks that they learned the hard way from the Tampa Bay Lightning, right? And that's the cycle. That's the cycle. That's why, like, you could have, I don't know if it would have been ideal, but you could have thrown like Stillman or Jost or whatever in there and just figured, the young guys need their confidence. No, you throw Morrow out there and you go, well, you're going to play 8 minutes and your head's going to be spinning and it's not going to be fun for you at times. But gosh darn it, remember how it felt.
So you're going to look at him and say, you're about to grow up.
Yeah.
Time to grow up, kid. You got to grow up fast. Time to grow up.
So like the Canes getting here early, right? If you believe, like I believe, that they built towards last year and then maybe took a step back for a retool and were building towards next year, and this was the limbo year, if you believe that, which I do, it's the best kind of limbo year because you got the Florida Panthers in the Eastern Conference Finals to hammer home a lot of things that you needed to learn. So, again, am I going to sit here and say, it's great that these guys struggled? No. Am I going to sit here and pretend that Slavin had to learn hard lessons? No. Right? Slavin, Walker, Carrier, they're 30. Right? They're not even the oldest people in the world, so they can be a little bit older when these guys, there's a nice crop that's going to age well for the Carolina Hurricanes in the next 2, 3, 4 years. Now the Martinooks and the Stahl are going to be holding on, but there's a lot of guys that are going to be pretty darn impressive. And if you supplement appropriately through free agency, through trades, and right, like, let's be real, the Panthers learned their lessons from the Lightning, and then they trade for Matthew Tkachuk. That's a nice little boost. There might be that move for the Canes where you got to go get a dude, but I don't think there's anyone in that series 25 years and younger that doesn't leave a much more prepared player for next year. And that's how I'll leave you. But I'll send you off into overdrive where we will ask this question. Knowing everything I just told you, was this season good enough? For what the Canes are this year, the situation they were in, and where they made it, was it good enough? That starts Overdrive. Thank you to Dennis for keeping us up and running. Thank you to you for listening. See ya.
The Adam Gold Show.
I am not a watcher of Entertainment Tonight or Bravo Network. I don't care about these things. I don't care about the relationship between Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson unless it impacts football. Nobody has made the connection for me that this will impact football. But I will say this, the university can't separate itself from the relationship because Belichick is UNC football.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
Bank of America is the nation's leading business lender, and we're ready to help with your next goal here in the Triangle. That's why we have over 3,700 local business specialists across the country. Because with the right team, your business and community prosper. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com/local business. Bank of America, official bank of FIFA Club World Cup 2025. Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
NASCAR on Prime lights up Music City.
Here we go, Nashville. See what you got here.
Who's got what it takes to tackle the concrete at Nashville Superspeedway and walk away with NASCAR's coolest trophy?
Let's freaking go!
Stream the NASCAR Cup Series at Nashville Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, where music meets motorsports.
Chase me up, chase me up.
Only on Prime.
A pepperoni pizza for the table. May I suggest trying it with our Pepsi Zero Sugar? It has just the right amount of sweetness to complement all that cheesy, saucy goodness. Simply divine.
Pepsi Zero Sugar? You've really outdone yourself this time.
Pizza deserves Pepsi.
Handy Hugo's has a refreshing deal. 2 1-liter Pepsis for just $3. Quench your thirst at Handy Hugo's today.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto-pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Now is the perfect time to start on your next success. An accredited state university, University of Maryland Global Campus offers online and hybrid courses. Plus, you can earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. No application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part?